Everybody in?
Let me see, I'm trying. Make sure I remember.
Make sure you want the hangout, sorry. You'll be the hangout queen again.
Why does it tell me no internet?
It's,
I was on today.
takes a while.
Mine did that at first.
It's, there's, Andrew implemented something called 802.11.1x. And what it does is it controls which Wi-Fi, and there's a little bit of a delay.
I was gonna say, when we were down here today, I was working.
I'm sorry, I just kind of took over.
You're fine.
Your initial,
You know me, I'll be going.
social,
Like that.
your birth year. Everybody's here, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, let's do
Oh, Jeffro, why'd you do that?
Jeremy, I kind of liked it better when he does
Let's look at
She's locking us in here too, people.
your initials, last name, last two of your birth year.
You might have to stay the night.
Better hope we don't have an axe murderer in the crowd.
Exactly.
So this next quote was pretty high, wasn't it, Jeremy? Higher than the other one.
Did you send us the link yet?
I don't know. Let's see. I think you click on calendar.
All right, guys, I gotta see if any of the guys are logged in, then I'm gonna see it.
They're popping up
Okay. Well, I mean, you see
outside.
something that says, give somebody permission, just.
Oh,
say it.
okay.
Yeah. If you know who they are, if you don't know who they are, tell them.
It's spelled the bottom here. Just the little envelope.
To be Ryan.Cody@Esther..
Joe, are you all still safe? Everybody good?
My buildings are just having a hard time.
Just worn out?
I'll just keep getting over it.
Yeah,
Once one's got it, it just spreads
Yeah.
out.
yeah. Just
And
ran
it's
it.
coming from our employees. Like getting it from the community, not asymptomatic, no others.
Yeah.
But we're home.
They don't have any down here, I don't think.
I knew it was gonna be on TV. I'd comb my hair.
COVID free now, which we're.
They take it, yeah.
Madera County, Liberty, Casey.
You and Jeremy have that problem all the time. Huh?
You look like you've been out in the sun, right?
Yeah, but Florida getting dry.
You know what, Bob, I look this good every morning when I wake up.
I need to go to Florida.
That's a
Ain't
lot.
one thing about you don't have to worry about bed hair, do you?
Where'd you go?
Man, I don't care.
Go out of your Gmail.
Oh, wait, it's in here.
It's on the calendar. Now go to the left and click on that meeting date. Yeah, and it should pop up.
Okay, now I got it.
There's one more water in there if somebody needs one.
I brought caffeine tonight. Need it.
Jeremy sort of monitored those questions. Right now, it was still at 26 a minute ago.
8, 7,
I don't,
6. I
and I
forgot.
made a summation of those questions.
Yeah. Less than 10.
I didn't bring enough copies to share one with you, but I gave Felicia one.
Has anybody died? Like, I know McKee did.
McKee had 13.
Yeah, and the last one is real
Madera
short
County
about
has
can
16.
kids learn at home or
16 residents and 2 employees.
from,
We had 2 employees pass away.
And it was from that.
They were working at COVID unit, got COVID.
Were they unhealthy?
They were 60s, one was a diabetic. I wouldn't never say unhealthy, but like there was no.
They had health issues though. Yeah.
And then, our Liberty building, we've had 4 residents pass away.
At which,
Casey County.
yeah. I have a friend that's a nurse practitioner down there, Beth Parton.
Short for Dr. Haddad.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a friend of
I've
mine.
never met her, but I know
Yeah,
her.
she's real nice.
Yeah. Dr. Haddad's our medical director.
Oh, yeah? She says he's really nice.
Yeah, he is.
She and I talk a lot.
I just
She
see,
and I talk a lot.
waiting on Jeremy a little bit, I guess.
I do. And I'm real involved in the coalition, so it's a statewide organization, and I go to Frankfurt, do a lot of lobbying and stuff for them, and so I know a lot of people, but she's super nice. Did you get to go to the beach? Have you all been?
We had to cancel our Mexico trip and our beach trip. I'm not allowed
I still don't see Peter on here,
Yeah.
and Summers made it.
Well, I went to the beach. I went to the beach.
Guys, you all will have to log on as well. If you've not logged on to the Google meeting. Right now, I'm showing only Rhonda.
Because Jeremy did mine.
Well, now mine says it's on.
You're not on video.
On the top, guys, you all should see a green circle thing. If you all click on that, it's a Google Hangout, and I've sent you all the link. You all can simply just click on that link that I sent you.
Oh,
Did you click on board members?
Yeah, click on board members, that's correct. Oh, you're fine. And then click on the link.
How do I see everybody else?
Brian, you signed your invoice?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I think I got all them.
Usually we go to our email line, don't we?
I think so.
Now, if y'all don't mind, when you all get to the screen where it shows the black screen, turn your mics off. The only person that'll have a mic will be Rhonda. That way we don't get that back feed.
All I see is me.
Me too.
Me too, that's why I'm
Go
like.
ahead, join.
Oh, the vanity.
I don't know. I'm thinking I got a little gray hair here.
Click on that, there should be a box there, like a tic-tac-toe square. If you click on it, you can see more.
Well. Sorry, I'm leaning over you like that.
Jeremy, are you breathing on me?
Yes, ma'am, I am. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I think I'm immune to stuff. I think I'm immune to things.
Oh, cool.
It's still not going away, is it?
You know, for some reason, your grid view's working.
Yeah, I just clicked on it.
There we go. Just click right there. Let's go.
But now, what if we want to follow? Did we do this last time, or didn't we follow our agenda? Yeah, but whenever I want to look at something.
Now, what I'll do,
He'll take control and
yeah,
pull it
I'll
up.
put it up here on the screen, and then I'll have my autopilot so that when Lisa does something, it'll.
Tanya, you've got a glam shot on there. You look good.
Pardon?
You've got a glam shot on there.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Thank you. I'm so glad for that compliment on the day.
You look good. There's somebody kissing their horse. Who's that? That's Summer Evans.
Yeah. She took that picture in 1980.
It's turned off.
Look at Jessica Mullen. She's got a glam shot too.
Jenny Jo, you're the only one that's not working.
Look at Mr. Sailor
Oh,
and
look at
Jeremy.
Jessica. Really? Jessica?
Are you serious?
I'm coming over when the meeting's over.
See that right there should put you in.
I guess it's
I will use the zip line for Jessica.
Start licking the screen.
Now I forgot how to chat and how to do all these things.
Right there.
You don't need to chat.
Jonathan.
You need to
Hey,
pay
Jonathan.
attention. You don't need to be chatting.
Okay. But I thought we were supposed to
He's gotta be
vote.
let in.
We don't have to do
Not
that.
on this.
That's
Okay.
probably
We're
what's wrong with Peter.
physically-
See, y'all
too.
have done too many
Yeah,
things
we're
to
about ready to
confuse
go,
us.
man. Okay, he'll let you in right here in just a second, and we'll be ready to go.
I'm gonna trying to get in the building.
No, you got it. I think it, just some of them, when you're outside the organization, it requires him to
Am I
let you
showing
in.
on me?
No, I don't see you anywhere. I don't see me now.
I don't see it.
Probably wouldn't hurt.
Right there, it says 15 people.
I don't think I'm in the same meeting. 'Cause mine says 1 people.
One people.
1 people.
Mine says
What?
15 on the right-hand thing. Did you click it? Click
Mine says
it.
15. You did the,
Exit out of that meeting, then go back to the, you might have clicked on the wrong one.
Of course I did.
I'm so glad it's you.
it's usually me.
Is this the one you clicked on?
Click on board members at the top. That one. The board member, that one. And then go
This
right
one.
there. Yeah.
I was in somebody else's meeting.
Here Jeremy, did you see that? I was showing her what to do. Did you see that?
Oh, I see all the people now.
Are we ready? Am I looking on Jeremy?
Jeremy's got to get it live on,
Mine's
live on
froze on
YouTube,
Brian,
and then we're
look.
good to go.
Please don't be on me.
Mine's froze on you.
Mine is too.
Turn it off.
I still don't see Peter.
I don't know how.
See half the people.
I got 16 people on here, but
That's what I have too.
We're done, I got any bats in the cave.
I've got 16, but I
Come
don't
here,
see
look at ya.
Jonathan, don't see Peter.
It's not showing up on my screen to allow them.
Who's got control of it?
Let me see if I can,
If I do, I don't see anybody trying to join.
yeah, because normally it'll pop up on the screen and it'll say, please allow them to enter.
well, on a happy note, I had a friend that brought me a lemonade for the meeting tonight.
Oh,
Wasn't that sweet?
Mr. Sarah?
Yes.
Call Jonathan back, tell him.
After I spilled it down my pants, I had to change.
See if it'll pop up, force it to show.
Head to toe.
But you had all that laundry all ironed, and all you had to do was just change into
That's
something
right.
else that was hanging and ironed.
Hey, man, close back out and then try to log back in again. Yeah, just close the link out and then try to log back in. For some reason, it's not popping up on our end to let you in.
That looks better.
And I bet you that's the problem with Peter and them as well.
Brian, you all made some good beach pictures.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's a good looking family.
It's asking him to join again right now.
I'm sure that's where it's at.
I didn't see them.
I seen them. There
I
we
saw,
go.
they were good.
I missed them, shoot.
I just now
Then
seen
with
them.
the high-tech iPhone 6 Plus.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry.
You can see it, I mean, it's not asking nothing, you can see it on the screen.
Yeah, I thought it would too. I wonder if I just send him the new email I just sent to Summer earlier tonight. Would it be anything to do with that?
It should be the same link, because I copied it, that's when I sent out to everybody else.
I love it with
We
everything.
had
COVID has robbed us of everything.
and we got
Just
back
let your boss
everything
put the grocery
taken.
and pay it to the top of it. That's still there. I thought, I mean, I'm like you, but all of this, you won't go into all that, but anyway, I thought, if I go in and get groceries, not just the bread that you touched, you got it, guess what, I'm getting it anyway. Bring it on, these lungs are ready. No, I'm just checking.
Oh, I did. I wouldn't say. the people's motors, you have to wear a mask on. And there's a sign out this big and this tall, it's posted out each
Yeah.
door. Just for people.
Peter says he's available, but the link to the meeting isn't working. I've sent Jeremy a text,
I didn't have to look at that now.
so I don't know.
And I won't do that. They won't. All right, well, that's what I feel like people are going out. They beat me up. And keep the sign, you don't have to do it on. You got your card. Good. Well, the parking lot. I was back to help pick up the signs.
Jonathan, hold on. I'm gonna send you another email and let's try this, okay?
I said, I was coming back to the sign. He said, well, thank you.
I may have already lost him.
Yeah.
I said, you're ignorant, just what I told you. I mean, you're in your 30s, early 40s, at that time.
That's silly.
And they saw it, they came in and they brought the you get me fine in the lake.
Yeah. So I'm a job get mad at me. I ain't trying to push my political beliefs or anything else in the job, but I'm a gun owner and I'm a gun carrier. So I don't really go out of state just in case, especially when I had this little on my throat. I ain't ready for it. I mean, I ain't ready to duke it out with my so I gotta.
Everyone to the July 2020 board meeting, and we will start off with saying the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Because we do have a sign in. Do we have any revisions?
No, the revisions were made yesterday within the 24-hour time limit. Just a reminder to our public that the agenda is always on the KSBA website, and we've been posting that, I believe, to our public. You can see that, the public portion of that. So just a reminder for everybody on that, but no, the agenda is as is.
All right, well, we'll start off with facilities, construction update, and we'll start with the Area Technology Center.
Peter, if you don't care, probably need you to jump in here.
Yeah, we have Jeremy Faulkner, our super pro Cordell is not going to be able to be with us tonight. He's a little bit under the weather, so I have a much more general report on the ATC, which is that progress on that building is coming along very nicely. Michael Mays was in the district over the past weekend taking a look at it for the design team, and you can tell with the amount of masonry that is going up, they are really moving along quickly on that building if you've been able to drive by. I probably don't have the specifics that Jeremy would have if he were here tonight, but if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them or get them to him.
I do have a couple of specifics. I was out there on Tuesday, and Peter, I hope y'all can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay, I was out there on Tuesday, no, I'm sorry, it was Monday afternoon, and I know that they're in the process of backfilling against the retaining wall, which should be done this week. Hopefully then the remainder of the footers for the third lab, which I believe is the advanced manufacturing lab, will start, and the slab should come along within the next couple weeks. They're almost ready to start putting the steel up for the pedway. They have poured the last pedway pier, and so they're moving forward on that. The road to the middle school should open sometime towards the end of next week. No later than the end of next week. So that's sort of what I found out on Monday before Jeremy had to take off a couple days. So that's pretty much where we're at. I don't know if there's any other questions. A lot of work's been done out there. It really has. And right now we've got the masons pushing the floor slab people, and the foundation people, so they're having to really get on it to keep things going. Yes, ma'am.
About what percentage is completed?
We estimated the other day, we're getting ready to make our first drawdown on the EDA grant, and it has to be at 25%. Based on what we're looking at right now, it's probably somewhere right around 30% based on the money that's been spent. And that's strictly looking at the dollars that's been spent and when we could make our first drawdown. So that paperwork hopefully will be complete and sent to EDA. I don't know what the turnaround is on that. I know that Codell Construction has people that's working with us to get that paperwork in, because it's going to be important for us to get those drawdowns on those grants in order for us to keep the cash flow going to make the payments. If we do get into some cash flow issues, we have had, I'd mentioned it a long time ago to our bank, that there are some possibilities there to just be able to make those issues. The money's available, it's just a matter of getting it released from the grant. So my guess is somewhere right at 30%. Peter, you agree with that?
I sure do, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have pay application number 11.
You have pay application number 11 there. I don't know, Felicia, if you can pull that document up for them, just in terms of the pay app, first page. It's $700 and some thousand this time. $730,000, $730,622.55. That's been reviewed by Codell and also the architects, and my recommendation is for that pay application to be approved.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
second? Thanks, Brian. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the bus garage update.
Yeah, so it's been another good month for the bus garage, and a lot of good work has happened. They got the slab poured this month, which was really important for getting the building erected. The steel erection has been completed, and I know the interior masonry has also pretty much been completed, which is all really good sign for having this building ready to go. I do know that they have had a couple of questions about the wall panels this week, which means they're getting ready to start with that work, which will be really good to see. And we have every reason to believe that this building is going to be ready to go for you guys in October. So we're excited about that.
Just a little addition to that, I've been on site Monday and yesterday. Utility work is also taking place by Jackson Energy. Matter of fact, they had poles set all the way up the hill today. So I look for electricity to be on site by the end of the week. So they've really started a lot of work here this week and been doing that. I tell you what, that site, you can go up there, if you've not been up there, if you got a vehicle, it's not, you'd probably drive up there in your car if you wanted to. Might not suggest that you do that. I mean, it's real dusty and dry. I wish we could have said that in January, February, wouldn't you, Peter? Dusty and dry, we wouldn't be where we're at right. Well, yeah, we would, because we would have still had the delays on the lift and the tank. But you can see the entire site that's took place. You know where the buses are parking in the back. You can see all the utilities stubbed in. I think the only masonry wall they've got left is the main wall that goes all the way to the ceiling. And they were working on that wall yesterday afternoon, so I'd say it's close to complete. So once they get that wall up there, they can put the roof on it. I think that's the holdup on the roof, wasn't it, Peter?
Yeah, that's the big, they would like to be able to do that for sure, yes.
Those blocks have to be filled with a flowable fill because I guess it is a fire retardant wall and it just extra stability too.
The height.
Yeah, because the height of it.
wall,
I guess from the floor to the top of that peak in that building is probably what, Peter, a good 25 feet?
Yes.
So it's a pretty high masonry wall. Good looking facility, though. I tell you what, you get up there and you look out, and I mean, you're looking out over things. It's going to be a nice facility and a peaceful place up there. It's really going to be a great addition to our school district.
I was actually going to ask if they were allowed to drive out there. I know these guys out here at the ATC think I'm an idiot. Who's a stalker, keep driving by, looking at us all the night. Because I read about there quite frequently when we're checking it out. Didn't know if you could actually.
You can go on site up at the bus garage now. At the ATC, it's a little bit more with the amount of work and the type of work going out there. I would strongly suggest if you want to go on that site, we have hard hats, and I need to get you all a hard hat. That way, if you go on that site, you need to wear a hard hat out there. You're supposed to wear one probably on the bus garage side as well from just OSHA standard, but there's not as much danger there as there is right now at the ATC side with what's going on. But I'll get you all a hard hat. If you'll call either one, or you let me know, and I'll let the job foremans know, I'll let Jeremy know, or I'll let John know that you'll be there, and they'll be glad to have you all up there. And don't forget, you've got Multivista. They're constantly uploading pictures on those sites, and the public can see those pictures as well. There's generic logins for you to be able to log in, and you can view the same pictures that we're viewing. The only thing that I would say, we probably do not need the public on site, because without proper hard hats and because of the things that's going on those sites, that would not be recommended. But that's why we put the pictures up there for you guys to be able to see.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have a pay application number 6 with associated direct purchase orders.
And Felicia, if you can go to that pay app. Well, Jeremy's got it. For the bus garage, nope, that's ATC. And this one's been reviewed as well. This one was reviewed by Ross Tarrant, and they have verified that this is the amount that's due for the work that's been done for $196,512.50. And your recommendation, Peter, along with mine, is to approve that pay app?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion? Thanks, Carl. With a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a change order number 1.
All right, so this change order for the bus garage project is a $0 change order. It is related to excessive inclement weather conditions that occurred from January to March of this year. Pulling together the documentation for that, we finally got everything together that we needed to present to you guys this month. But the contractor is requesting 17 days be added to their schedule, which will push the substantial completion date from September 15th to October 2nd, 2020. The documentation on these weather days, in January was really a tough month for them. February and March had fewer days, but all the days we were able to track back, take a look at the weather and the conditions that they were facing as they were trying to get this project started, and we feel 17 days is the fair number to add to the project. The good news is that they haven't had to bother to ask for any other weather conditions days since then. So April, May, and June, and even July have all been clear, and the progress has also been clear.
And Peter, just for the board's sake, are we putting progress probably somewhere 45-50% on that project?
I could definitely, let me see, I think so. Let me double check that real quick. That's not a hard number to find. Let me see.
And after that meeting the other day, we had a meeting the other day with John, and they feel really confident that we can get our bus operation. The tank may not be there till September, but they feel really confident that probably by October 1, we'll be able to start servicing buses, which allows us to tell the city of Irvin something about the lease that we're paying now. And the final completion, they'd said October 31st. Actually, with these days, it was November 1, but that is still within the ballpark. John is committed. He's got other work to do, so he's committed to getting it done, doing a good job, doing quality work, getting it done, because he has other projects to move on to. So they've really turned the wick up here the last few weeks.
Right. At the end of June, they were right just under 40%, and they've gotten an awful lot done in the last couple of weeks up there as well. So you're not far off with your number.
So my recommendation is that we approve the change order for the weather days, moving the substantial completion date to October.
Correct.
Make a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, next on the agenda, we have the bleacher replacement project.
All right. So the bleacher replacement project that we are doing, the good news is the BG1 has been approved by ADE, which is good. So the next step that we have going on with that is getting an owner-contractor agreement to you guys. We are in the process of getting all of the information we need for Towbine to get that to you, and we should see some action on that project here very soon.
Peter, you should have received the email today on the owner-architect agreement and the board minutes. Felicia sent that out today around noon.
Yeah, I did get that, so that's good. Mary Lynn's always happy when I can give her those, and that sort of gives us the opportunity to get cracking on the owner contractor agreement, which will be the next step.
Which will be with Toadvine, right?
That is correct.
Good deal.
Yes, and it'll be a purchase order with Toadvine and an owner contractor agreement with Vine Branch, who will be doing the work, the installation work.
And the PO with Toadvine, that will be a DPO, correct? It's a direct purchase order?
It is, that's the way that works. It's a KEDC pricing, and it is a direct purchase order from the district, yes.
Which saves us the sales taxes and all those items on that. There's no upcharge from the contractor for that. Any other questions about those?
So
Okay.
next on the agenda, we have the ECHS renovation phase 7.
So I think, Jim, you can remind me, but I believe we are looking at needing to get a survey so that we can get some information, some solid information on some of the work that we'll be doing on site there, everything from a little bit of sanitary line work to a lot of work in the athletic facilities. And so we are in very preliminary stages, just looking at the programming for the project. But in order to get you guys sort of an estimate of what is going to be involved from a standpoint of budget and scope, this survey will be a huge help to my team to help get that done.
And again, that will allow us to get better estimates of the different phases of this project, which will eventually lead us to a BG1 that we will have to get approved, and we'll have to discuss the financing. Any money we spend right now, we'll be able to do exactly what we've done in the past. We'll work with Mark Rollins. It's no longer Hilliard Lyons. It is, what is their new firm, Peter? Am I putting you on the spot?
I say Baird.
Okay.
ARD or something?
Yeah,
Baird.
it's now Baird, so we'll do the same thing as we've done in the past. We'll pass a resolution at some point in time that will allow us to pay the board back for any funds that we spend now on that particular project. So we did have our first preliminary meeting, as we reported last time. I hope everybody did hear what Peter said a minute ago, that this survey, there's a lot of site work and work around the athletic facilities that have been promised to follow. So that is what we're doing, which is our last big phase of construction. And I know anybody that's concerned, we're moving at a pace. We're not going to move too fast to where we've got 3 or 4 construction projects going on. But the bus garage will wrap up around October. So then it will be the Area Technology Center, and then how we deal with the high school at that point in time. So I think the low bid on the survey was SME, and I think it's Peter's recommendation, and my recommendation as well, that we award the survey to them.
Do we have a motion? Thanks, Brian.
So,
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right. Okay, next on the agenda, we have consent items. And we have a long list of consent items.
Yeah, and we'll sort of talk about some of these. And Peter, listen, I know that appreciate you being with us tonight. Figure you might have some dessert or something from dinner, so you might want to move on out of here.
Appreciate all your all's time tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'd rather keep you around instead of Jonathan. It costs a lot more to keep Jonathan here than it does you. But no, we appreciate both of you, and we appreciate you, Peter. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
All right, Of course, we've got our minutes, the treasurer's report, the funding assurances. This is the one I used to give y'all every fall that was about that thick. You know, there's 70-some pages of that, and that's our assurances that we will spend KDE, state and public money, as well as federal money, that we will spend that money within the guidelines that are given to us. And we have to go through and pretty much check each one of those boxes. There's also a assurance statement that I have ready to go that says the board on this night has approved those funding assurances, and I will have to upload that sometime here in the next few days because it's due. But if there's any questions about that, I'll be glad to answer it. The certified medical assistant, again, this is all part of our response to COVID. Earlier, you had approved in the district staffing policy a new nurse for either the high school or middle school to be based on which school had the greatest need. Now coming back with South Irvin, because of the medical well-being of our students, the health care of our students, we feel like for at least 1 year, we may need to hire CM&A at South Irvin. And of course, we won't do that until we get closer to time to see exactly what our final reentry plan is. But I would ask that you would amend the district staffing policy tonight to approve that, and it would be for 1 year and 1 year only. And we have discussed that, and I think that is the way Erica has been sort of talking to different people that have sort of expressed the interest as we put that out there. But we'll post that job tomorrow if you approve it. Or, well, we've not posted neither one of them yet, but we will start putting flyers out. The memorandum for Gear Up, of course, which is our grant that now Gear Up is moving to the high school, middle school. It's now 8th grade, 9th grade. Remember, that's a 6-year grant worth several hundred thousands of dollars over the 7-year period. That's in there today. We've got the NFHS agreement, and if you approve that tonight, what you're approving on that is that we're given conditional approval if negotiations with local media does not pan out. And we have meetings scheduled tomorrow with local media to talk about the broadcast rights for our sporting events and how those sporting events will be broadcast in the future. Moving on with that, we have the 3 handbooks, the staff handbook, the coach's handbook, the substitute teacher handbook. You will have the parent-student handbook at the next meeting. Jeremy, that's one of his duty and responsibilities, and that will be available at the next board meeting. Professional learning plans, I've got Charlotte here. As you all know, Tanya has transitioned into a lot of DPP duties with Dickie leaving us. So Charlotte, of course, with her new position and the new job responsibility she has, she's taken on a lot of those instructional things. I don't know, Charlotte, if you want to just add what those PD plans are. You'll see there's separate plans for each school, and that's by reg or by KDE policies.
Each school is represented with their professional learning plans. Each professional learning plan for the schools is personalized, targeted, sustained, monitored, and it needs to impact teacher practices. So that's the basis for each one of their plans, as well as the district plan. All of the plans are based on a needs assessment from the CDIP or the schools at CSIP, their improvement plans. There are examples at South Irvin. It lists their goals that they have, who's responsible, and the actions that will be taken. Just to highlight the district plan, one of the things that will be an incredible addition for us is having our district coaches work directly with the teachers, coaching them, modeling for them to learn high-yield strategies, again, to impact directly teacher practices in the classroom. They're going to have teacher leader academies that will be directed by the curriculum coaches, the district curriculum coaches. We also, within our district plan, it reflects the current state where we are with COVID-19 and the pandemic, and the things that we want to make sure that we offer our teachers the best resources so that we can create the best learning environment, the safest learning environment for our teachers, for our students, for all of our staff. So again, our district coaches will be helping with training our teachers with remote learning, what our best practices for that. We also have on our last item is our virtual platform that we're going to be using, which is the Edgenuity for remote learning that we'll be offering our students. So the professional learning plan is something that directly affects and reflects the needs of the schools, the needs of our students and the needs of our teachers.
There's been a lot of work done with this. I know that we have to sort of move forward in terms of what are our needs of our schools, and we sort of have to make the assumption that school is going to continue as it normally would, so these plans focus on the activities around that. But there's also bits and pieces of this plan that deals with remote learning and online learning and what it's going to look like with paper and pencil packets and some of those things. So all those things are part of that are in addition to what you would normally see within these plans. And of course, what you'll see coming up here and just a little bit will be your school improvement plans again that come later in the fall. The district, you're going to see the activities that's within the district PD plan is going to then become reflected in the school improvement plan, and will also make informed decisions about what professional learning will take place in the spring and going into the summer. So really glad to have Charlotte with moving into that role, and Tanya's still there. She's not left us. She's down there, and Tanya's still a wealth of knowledge in that, but Charlotte will take those things and move forward with it. So I don't know if you have any questions about that. Let me go on through, and then if you've got questions for Charlotte or about any of them, we'll do that. Of course, every site-based council has to approve their school's PD plan, and that is what that is all about. You would see all that for the schools. Our KSBA membership renewal, you have some documents there about, of course, the services provided by KSBA. They did freeze the membership for this year due to the concerns of COVID and budgets. So it's $4,700 for this year for that membership. And then we have our policy updates you had for first reading last time. And of course, you have the yearly updates. We have our policies on professional meetings and our holiday and vacation policy that had to be revised. If you remember, we made some changes in 20-plus year classified employees, but the other parts of the policy wasn't fixed and revised at the same time. So really the action you took back in March, I believe it was, had absolutely no impact because we didn't revise the entire policy. And remember that the holiday or the professional meetings limits the number of days that teachers can be out of the classroom for whether it's professional learning or whether it's for field trips. Which of course right now, based on state guidelines, you all know how many field trips we can take, 0. So that's sort of where we're at with that. And I believe that is the last of the consent items. So if you have anything you want to discuss further, we'll be glad to answer those questions. If not, I would seek a motion for approval.
If anything would be pulled out.
Mr. Saylor, we were wondering if we need to pull that contract out until we have further meetings with the local broadcasting companies. Do we need to pull that out?
Well, what I was,
instead of voting on it now.
I was gonna ask that you give a conditional approval because this offer is not on the table. It's on the table until such a time that all of the equipment has been used. So the meeting is tomorrow in terms of what, with local media. So of course, if local media decides to step up and do some things for the school district that's going to help our athletic programs, of course, we don't have to do anything. But if that meeting goes nowhere, then you are on a strict timeline. I'm afraid that if you wait to the August meeting, that the grant funding for these camera systems will be gone, unless you want to have a special called board meeting to take up this one item. We can approve all those if that makes you feel good, and then we can pull the NFHS contract and give a conditional approval only if talks break down with the local media. How does, I don't care, it doesn't matter to me how you want to do it.
That concerns me, I don't know, it's first come, first served. You know, and then how they go there, I don't want us to be out in the dark, you know, without options. That goes sound so, sorry, but, that's just my thing.
Have we seen the programming from these people? Like,
You can go on the NFHS site, if I'm not mistaken, I think there are demos. Jeremy, I know, has looked.
This is not a fly-by-night type of system. It's in thousands of schools across the United States. Each system comes with a server. We would have a set of cameras in the gymnasium and a set of cameras on the football field. And it even ties into the scoreboards for each of those systems, so it can show the score. And as of right now, what they've done is you have this contract, and typically the cost of these, if you before COVID-19, what was like, it would cost us right around $15,000 to install these two systems if we had wanted to go that route. And because of this grant, all we're doing is paying for the installation, which is $2,500. But we do have to sign the 5-year contract that allows them to recoup their costs from fees. The thing of it is, they're offering this to every single school, as far as I know, in the entire United States.
All 50 states.
All 50 states. So if you don't approve it tonight, and unless you do a special call board meeting, I can't submit the paperwork to get it ordered until the special call board meeting in August. And that puts all those other schools in front of us to have installations, or assuming that the grant holds out until that long. Does that make sense? And so kind of getting back to Jenny Jo's question, you can go to their website, the video quality, their high definition video cameras. The software allows it to actually track the motion. It's not like a static camera like this. It actually will follow for volleyball, or basketball, or football, or soccer. It actually has artificial intelligence algorithms to actually follow where the action is on the field.
even if we went this route, we're not saying that our local broadcasters can't still broadcast, right?
Well, that,
Or,
The whole, well, no, you
do
still
both?
have the ability to allow local broadcasters, but here's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with the real possibility of games without fans. So that means there will be absolutely no ticket revenue. Without ticket revenue, there's no way we can support our athletic programs. So what this does allow to happen is it allows you to put your games behind a firewall, that somebody that's sitting at home, they can buy a yearly subscription for $70. And for $70, they can watch every football game, freshman, JV, varsity, every boys and girls soccer game, whether it's varsity, whether it's junior varsity, all volleyball, all basketball. You can broadcast your graduation if it is in the gym. They will broadcast all content, every game, and that's what you're going to see. Right now, we have Local media, of course, what are the events they want to broadcast? They want to broadcast our football and basketball games. So thus, our grandmothers that's sitting at home that can't get to a volleyball game, they have no opportunity to see their child play. Now, $70 for every home football game, all levels, every home basketball game, volleyball and soccer, that's less than $1 a game. If you don't want to buy a whole year, you can buy a month subscription for $10. If you only want to buy it during the month of February and March, if you want to buy that 1 month or 2 months, you can pay $20 for 2 months. You can watch district, you can watch regional, you can watch state. You can watch whatever in that facility. You can watch athletic events from all of the other states. If you're a sports nut, you can turn it on and you can watch the 5A state championship in Alabama because it's going to be broadcast on that network. You have the right then to your own advertising. Our boosters can sell advertising to those games. They have advertisers. The NFHS network, yeah, they have advertisers. They have national companies that are advertising. So are they making money? Yes, of course they are. They're making money, but they're also making the investments in these schools. And, you know, I understand. I went through this years ago as principal of a high school that a lot of people said, well, I shouldn't have to pay for that. If WYMT wants to come broadcast ball game, they thought they have every right to come in and do it. My only example of that, let any local media company, whoever it is, let them go see Mitch Barnhart and said, I'm coming to UK, I'm going to tape your game and broadcast it for free. What's going to happen with that? The University of Kentucky is not going to let them walk on their campus and broadcast their event for free. They're trying to sell tickets. So they're not going to allow that. High schools and boards of education, you own the rights to your broadcast. You own the rights. Those are items that belong to the school system. They don't belong, you know, to local media. They don't belong to anybody. I don't really, this is something that this is where it's going. Think about what our boosters have to go through to fundraise. Some of the things. Why is people buying advertising for our sporting events, but the high school is getting not 1 red cent for those advertisements? So, I mean, it's just a philosophical discussion.
Who would monitor like all the sales and who would be responsible for those subscriptions? And
they do it totally. You sell the subscriptions. It's just like you subscribing to Hulu or Netflix. You go online, you get it. The $70 is the base rate. Here's a volleyball game right now, and there's nobody manning this camera now.
If you'll notice on the bottom left, right, you're going to see these NFHS logos. We have, if someone buys a subscription, we of course would get a portion of that subscription. If we sell ads, we can put a little logo on the bottom left, right, and we can sell those as ads, and then we get to keep 100% of the ad revenue from them.
So that would be an opportunity for boosters
Yes, ma'am.
to make money, like a fundraiser.
Because sorry, I use this line. So what I'm saying is, a lot of times, at least I talk about that. I know y'all understand that. No, you're not. But, a lot of times, so these, when they're selling tickets to a volleyball game, you were saying that tickets were down on the football last year. So when they do the COVID, if they play, tickets sell are going down more. It's hard. Now, y'all been on the clubs all the time trying to provide a way for kids. And I think that would be right now, I think we need that option.
And we have the option for local media. We could still say any local media outlet, yeah, you can show this game, but you can't show it live. You can show it on delay if you want to show it on delay. But the live broadcast would be on the network. If somebody wants to watch it live, they can pay for it. If they don't want to watch it live, they can watch it on Sunday night. We can allow the local media, we can say, we're going to allow you one game a year. One game a year, you can stream it live if you want to. We have the ability to do that. So we technically still own some of our rights and can do some of those things. Yes, ma'am.
What about radio?
Radio is not impacted by this, but what they can do, your radio announcers can be plugged into this. So you're going to hear, this is Estill playing Bell County, you're going to hear William and Danny right there on that broadcast nationwide on the NFHS there. They're going to be nationwide. Anybody that wants to watch it. So if you've got family that lives in Arkansas and the grandson is playing Friday night in Estill County, grandma can turn that game on and she can watch the game. If he plays a freshman game on Tuesday night, she can turn it on and watch her grandson play on Tuesday night.
So it's fair to say that really what it's going to impact, if we do choose to go with this, is the few games, I guess it's mostly district games that they live stream or have in the past, they would not be able to do that.
We could make the decision on which games they would be allowed to do.
Well, also too, you leave out baseball and softball, and we know that they choose local radio and broadcast station does some baseball and softball games. So that's not included in that.
No, my suggestion to you, O, is as we move forward with the renovation of baseball and softball, you're building 2 new press boxes on both of those facilities directly behind home plate. You will have the ability, we'll have to pay for those cameras up front, but you'll have the ability to install cameras there, and you'll be able to broadcast those on the NFHS network as well.
We're not limited to.
So you're not limited to just the 2. And all they have to do, all the AD has to do is send them a schedule. Here's our football schedule with our home freshman, JV, and varsity football games. They send it to Atlanta, they key it in. You don't do anything. They turn the camera on sitting in Atlanta. They turn the camera on at 7 o'clock. They'll do your pregame, they'll do your game, they'll do everything. When the game's over, they turn it off. You don't do anything. You don't touch it.
Hands-free.
It's hands-free. It makes up for the decline in tickets. And I've never understood, that anybody that thinks that they have the right to watch our athletic events for free on television. Ask the paying customer, the person that pays to get in the gate, how fair is it to that person that shows up at the game to get into the gate, pays $5, but somebody can sit at home and watch it for free?
A lot of people probably just don't put any thought into that.
No, they don't.
Just, they're just innocent and don't put any thought into it.
So it's not the fact that trying to be net, but it's a total change of mind. It's a business model. This is not about being mean or trying to put anybody down or anything. It's a business model. And in the day when the dollar is going to be really tight, I don't know if you guys even, sometimes you don't even think of this. On the first Friday night of a home football game, every player on that field, in order to put that player on that field, is about $900 per player. By the time you pay $150 for a helmet, $200 for shoulder pads, you pay the uniform, you pay the cleats, you pay everything that's involved in it. So you think every 10 players is $9,000. 40 players is $36,000. That's what it cost the athletic program to put those players on that field. So when your ticket revenue is going down because you're broadcasting your games for free and people decide to stay home on a rainy night because they don't want to get wet heck, if I've got the opportunity, I can watch it for free. Am I gonna come out and get wet? Probably not. But those same people will pay the $70 and watch the game at home as well and not think a thing about it.
You talk about a business model, you don't know that you pick up more people that has one done and deal with people all the time. And sit as customer or the 9,000 run on watch whatever.
Well, a couple of you've got football players and things. How many you have family out of state that don't get to watch your son play? Or how many of you have somebody out of state that don't get to watch a daughter play volleyball? I mean, $70 is nothing compared to a tank of gas all the way up here from Nashville to watch somebody play a football game. I mean, they're gonna pay $70 and get to watch every game, never have to leave the comfort of their home. And if you've got that $70, it doesn't say every individual has to pay. You pay $70. If you put 20 people in your living room and they watch the game, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. There's not a per person charge. It's just that particular person has the right to see that game in their home, live streamed.
I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that we had put a lot of thought and time into considering this. We're not ruling out all options, but we're going to move forth. And like you said, it's strictly business.
Yeah.
It's not personal.
Correct. A lot of people never even thought about it.
Yeah, people hadn't even thought about it. So. So if we include that, we're including it with the provision that if things change or it doesn't work it out, then we could.
Yeah, after 5 years, that's our commitment. After 5 years, if we just feel like that it's not been a good opportunity, that means 5 years from now, this board, whoever's sitting here can.
But right now, I mean, if we vote, this is preliminary vote, is what you're
It's
saying?
just, we're gonna
'Cause we're
speak to
still
our local
negotiating.
broadcasters tomorrow.
I just had some people asking questions about
Yeah.
it. That's why I'm just making sure that people understand.
It's good discussion.
What we're doing and what this is about. I wanted to make sure that we're a good community steward and that we're putting everything on the table.
And we still, like I said, we still own our rights. We can allow that local station to broadcast a game a year live. I mean, we're not wanting to pull the wool completely out from under somebody's, here. We understand that that's a local business as well.
Right.
They're good to our community, but they also have to understand that they wouldn't allow somebody to sell advertising for their radio station and broadcast advertising on their radio station without them getting the revenue for it. That's my radio station. You can't sell an ad and play it on my radio and you get the money for it.
How many
It's-
times have you ever watched a ball game and turn cable on? I'll turn on wheel Dan, the damn wheel.
You then turn on the radio.
Right.
So, I mean, it's one of those things, and I mean, it's notoriously been that they understand, college sports, we can't do that. They have to pay some pretty big fees to be part of the UK football network. They're having to pay fees, they're having to pay things in order to be able to broadcast that. It's no different for us. We're a public entity just like the University of Kentucky. We're no different. So our sporting events are not out there for free just because we line up to play. There is a cost. And listen, a lot of people doesn't understand. They say, well, the board just needs to pick this up. Well, I don't know that everybody understands this. And, I've talked to some parents and they have no idea. They have no idea that this board pays $20,000 every year up front for athletics before anything happens. You make a $13,000 donation to the high school for athletics. You make another $7,000 donation to the middle school for athletics. Our public doesn't know that for the most part, or they have forgotten about it. Okay? What else do? You provide for all the training and everything that goes along with those athletic programs as well. That's probably another $5,000. You supply the athletic trainer for those programs as well, which is another $5,000. You supply all transportation. Our athletic programs pay not one dime for transportation. I don't know if y'all realize it or not, there are boards of education that charges their athletic teams $2 per mile for bus transportation.
I did not know that.
So you travel 100 miles on a Friday night for a football game and you take 3 buses, you're out $600 for the buses plus the driver pay, and it comes out of the athletic account in the ticket sales. The Estill County school system does not require our schools to pay 1 dime for transportation. We pick it up. That's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of another $40,000 to $50,000 per year that goes into athletics.
I'd say at least that.
When we looked at our coaches' salaries the other day, you pay the coaches' salaries. Our coaches' salaries for our athletics and our sports activities in this district is somewhere getting close to $175,000. So when somebody says, well, the board just needs to pay more, you already got to remember the board is paying almost $300,000 in support of our athletic programs. Now think again what the school's paying for, what the boosters are having to raise. Our booster clubs are strapped. Let booster clubs go out this fall and start trying to sell ads and sell sponsorships and stuff with the businesses in the shape that they're in that's barely making it. I mean, this is a tough time, and I don't know that we can even get it up and running during football. It may be basketball season before it's up and running. Because, like I said, we're getting further down on the list every day. Because other schools that are proving it, they're getting on the, because we could install it ourselves. We can save the $2,500 and we'll look at the specs. If we think we can install them ourselves, we can install it ourselves. But I'm a little bit afraid to do that when you're talking about professional high-grade cameras. For $2,500, we couldn't. It would cost us more than that by the time we took our personnel to do it.
Draw the line, Jeremy.
So the bottom line is, it's one of those things, it's a $2,500 cost. It's another $1,500 if you want to start collecting revenue immediately. Because they're still having, that's helped them pay up front their costs. They're giving you $5,000 worth of equipment up front. But then you can immediately start making money. If it takes the first year just to pay back the $4,000, for the next 4 years, you're going to make that money. And boosters can sell the yearly fees. They can sell the advertisings. We can work all that out. Austin Moore's our new AD. He's doing a fantastic job. He's young. He's energetic. He's been to see Felicia to a couple times now, trying to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. So he's very young, very energetic, happy to be here, glad to be back home, glad to be back in engineer country. He's going to do a fantastic job. So we'll be good when it comes to being able to administer this stuff. But I do want to sit down with local media in the morning. I want to give them an opportunity to say, here's what we can do. Here's how much we can help. But all I'm asking for, and if you want to make this clean, we can pull that out as a separate item. I would make the recommendation that you approve all the consent items except for the NFHS contract, and then we'll make a separate motion on it so that we'll be clear about what we're doing. Does that sound good? That way there's clarity about what we're doing here. So pull the NFHS out of this and approve all consent
I have
items.
a motion already.
Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
For instance, if we have our football games in at halftime, and our band's performing, will they broadcast that also?
They'll broadcast the band.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
our band. It's our star.
Yeah.
I just
You know, in
wanna make sure.
time, I mean, it's like you're saying, not limited to, in time, you know, and I talked to Mr. Cole, I mean, you know, if they were to host, and we have the capabilities of them to host a competition at some point in time, that kind of,
They will broadcast it live nationwide.
That's great. Okay, yeah.
They'll broadcast whatever we ask them to broadcast. You know why? They want content. Why do they want content? They're selling ads.
That
There-
also includes private functions such as not proms, graduations, ceremonies and things of that nature.
You graduate on football field, they'll carry it live. You want a community event, Relay for Life, broadcast, I believe they'll do that as well.
We can broadcast anything of our choosing outside of this board.
Because it's our rights. We own it. We own it.
Do we have a motion? Do I have a second? Any more discussion? All in favor? Donna second, sorry. She's quietly over here, second. Okay, so we need a motion.
Now, so we're going to pull the NFHS contract out, Felicia, so it will be another motion. And that motion would be to give conditional approval in case negotiations with local media does not pan out the way we want. That doesn't need to be the wording by any means. I sound like a third grader here trying to make a motion, and I apologize for that. But if those negotiations does not bear fruit, then we need to move forward with this because it's an opportunity that's not going to be there for long.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
That meeting in the morning is 9 o'clock. I've asked the principals and the ADs to be there. I'd asked Rhonda to be there as chairman of the board. If one other board member wants to come to that meeting, you're more than welcome. And we'll just have a heart-to-heart. This, again, is I'm not mad at nobody. This is a business decision strictly for the future of our athletic programs.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have public comments.
I tell you what, if you don't care, let's jump down and do superintendent's report, because what we're going to do, once we approve
That'll answer probably some of the questions.
the school reopening plan and the calendar, it's going to answer a lot of that. So if the public would just be patient, we're not putting you off. We've already reviewed 26 public questions, and I don't know if there's been others since the board meeting started, but we'll address those. And we'll make sure that we address all those. So if we can jump down to the superintendent's report, and then we'll jump back up.
Perfect. The floor is yours.
Oh, the floor is mine. Well, you have your notification of personnel actions. And right now, Felicia's in her busy season. She's already started meeting with different individuals that we've hired. Most of our positions are filled right now, so that's a good thing. We're still got a couple things left to post. Felicia will go ahead and post that on there for you all to be able to view, but it's just for your information anyway. You're not approving that. This next item is KSA Gold Standard member. I'm going to ask you, Tanya, you are the ambassador, the school ambassador for KSA. And just tell them a little bit about what this is, and we'll have something to present at the next board meeting.
Okay, excuse me, KSA is our professional organization for administrators. And so you get so many benefits with being a member of this organization, including insurance and all kinds of professional learning. And so we really try to recruit some of our members, like I know most of our coaches have joined because there are, publications and things that come out. A lot of those people would like to be administrators someday, so it's a really good way to get in there, to get into the legislative end, to see how things impact education. And then all of our principals, assistant principals, counselors, all those people are members as well. And we encourage that because I know all of you all are professionals, and it's good to be a part of an organization like that. So we, as a school district, we have, it says we are a gold standard member. I'm like Mr. Saylor, we talked about this today. We will get some kind of recognition at KSA next week, I believe, but we're not attending this year. It just, I don't know how it even worked, but we're not attending this year, so I guess we'll get our banner whenever. But I'm very proud of that simply because it just really helps our administrators and the people who join to be able to network with others and form relationships with other people, other principals, other counselors, and VPs. I mean, you know, it's just a statewide good organization. So I'm proud of that. And I know we've got some new principals coming and assistant principals coming on board, and we will recruit them just as soon as we can, things kind of calm down. But very proud that we are a gold standard member.
And just to add a little bit to that, part of the perk of that, what we try to do is if they do join, the school district does pay the liability insurance for each of those administrators, which is an additional cost of that membership. I think it's been at $55 for the last several years, and I believe that's correct. The district pays that, which gives them $1 million worth of liability insurance in terms of operating their schools or in their official capacity within the school system, which is just a small part of what their membership dues actually are. A lot of people that join KESA, they are not KEA members, but just know that KEA and KESA work very closely together. So they are partner organizations as well. I actually do have to go, but I am not attending the conference because I didn't feel like it was fair for me to attend the conference when others can't. For all of us to go to that conference, it's about $15,000. And because of the concerns with the budget, we did not go last year and we're not going again this year. Because $15,000 allows us to employ an instructional assistant that can help our kids. So we've made the conscious decision not to go. I hope that we can go next year. It's the best, it's the premier organization, in my opinion, in the state of Kentucky to be a part of if you are an administrator.
I will add too, one of the good things about attending that conference is the collegiality that we all have because we do activities together when we are free from the conference. So it does help with culture and things like that. We get to know each other better and do activities together. And it really is a good thing.
And Jonathan can probably tell you that $55 for liability insurance and have Wayne Young as a counsel that can help him in a situation or help you as an administrator in a situation. That's a pretty good deal, isn't it, Jonathan, to get Wayne?
Have to get Wayne and then also have that extra $1 million of coverage just in case that starts out.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for our district. It helps protect our district, and that's $55 well spent. So that's item B. Let's move on to C, and I know that is what a lot of people in the public, I don't know how many's watching right now. I'm sure we've got several that's watching by YouTube right now wanting to know exactly how we are going to open school. And there's a lot of things that's taken place over the last 2 months. We started having superintendent webcasts in May. So every Tuesday from 2 o'clock until about 4:30, I sit and Tanya sits and different ones of us have to sit and listen to all the recent information that's coming down. And let me say this, the plan that we're putting out there today is the plan that as of right now, this is how we will be going back to school. I don't know what's going to happen. I've not seen the governor's count tonight. I don't know how many cases of COVID there was tonight, but that is again double what they were when some of these plans started going down. I can tell you this, I don't want to get political here, but I will say this. I do not understand why a face mask has become a political football when all the health experts agree that if everybody would start wearing a mask in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we would see the number of COVID cases start to decline exponentially by stopping the spread. And we can go on, guys, it's real. At this point, I don't think there's no doubt that it's real. We can argue, well, it's no worse than the flu. Well, bottom line, there's a lot more people infected. Maybe the death rate's about the same for a bad year of the flu. I don't know. But if we're losing one person because of COVID-19 and we don't have to lose one person, then why are we fighting this? And the sad part is that how many times on the news here lately have you turned it on and you hear somebody say, I wasn't a believer. I really didn't think it would happen to me. And then I was a carrier. I brought it in on my grandma. She's on a ventilator for the last 32 days, struggling to save her life. I mean, I don't know why we have to get to that point. A mask is not a political statement. It is, I care enough about others that I'm going to wear it, and I care enough about myself. And we can still go about and live our lives in order to do that. So the plan that we've worked on for the last 4 to 5 weeks is the plan that we've laid out today. I would like to share some survey data with you that we got from our parents first. And this has sort of helped us do that. If we can go to that document. There was 4 major survey questions, not the responses to the board meeting, but the 4 questions that are posted as part of the CASBA agenda.
Where that document be at?
It's under,
Right there on the right.
the first question the very first question is that if you're required to wear students are enrolled in grades 1 through 12, and all staff are required to wear a cloth face mask unless they have a medical waiver, and that will be a verified medical waiver from a doctor or medical provider, not a note from home. Do you have a concern about your child wearing a mask? And we saw that 55% did have a concern about a child having to wear a mask, and this question was centered around the fact that they're going to have to wear them 7 hours a day, all day long. So we had to start taking into account, how can we avoid that? I don't think parents have a problem with a child wearing a mask at times, but we all have masks right here right now, and we're social distance, and we've not worn them in here for a while. If I get up here in a minute, I'll put my mask on, which is part of the whole go back to school thing, that if you move, you mask. If you get up out of your seat, you have to wear your mask. If you change classes, you have to wear your mask. But when you're in your classroom sitting in your seat, social distance from your peers, you do not. So the amount of time a student would wear a mask goes from 7 hours, 8 hours a day, down to maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most. So we had to take that in consideration. The next question was, so you all know, do you have a plan? Do you plan to send your students back to school? 70% of our parents said, yes, we want our children back in school some way, form, or fashion. Now, we have a lot of parents that don't want to bring their kids back to school, and we're going to make accommodations for them, as you'll see in our plan here in just a minute. Next question. And so you'll see there's like 900 and some responses here. Some of them's got fewer. This one has 400. If you answered no to the previous question, which option below could the district do to best meet your child's educational needs? And one of them is remote learning by paper and pencil, which probably is the method that's the hardest for us to do. And it's also harder for our parents, and it's harder for us to have teachers assist them. And that's what we did most of last spring. And we'll be better at it, but it's still not the best way. The other way would be that remote learning online, and that's 67%. And that goes pretty much along with our survey results that we have, that about 72 to 74% of our students have some form of internet capability, whether they have internet in their home or they have internet on their phone. And that's a CAT survey that we do every year. 7% said other, and we have those responses, but you can sort of see where this breaks down at. So we know about a fourth of the students that stay home are going to have pencil, paper, and have a lot of support. And the last question was, wearing a mask while riding a school bus is a safety expectation unless medically waived. Your students ride the bus or you will bring them to school. Will your students ride the bus or you bring them to school? And the bottom line, listen, guys, we can argue over this all we want. The Department of Public Health says in order for a student to ride a school bus, they have to wear a mask. We're not going to fight about this. We're not going to argue about it. It's plain and simple. If they get on the bus, they have to wear a mask. If you don't want them to wear a mask, you bring them to school. If you can't bring them to school, then they will need to learn remotely. There's no choices in this. We're not a private company that can make our own rules. We're a public entity that's governed by the Department of Public Health. We're KDE. KDE is governed by the legislature. The governor has full range and broad powers in this. So that's just where it's at. So how do we take those results? And I'll address employees' concerns here in a minute, because there's been a lot of people say, well, we've not surveyed employees. Well, by survey, we haven't. We are communicating with our employees. Our supervisors are communicating with them. We shouldn't have to communicate with our employees by a survey when we can look at our employees face to face and figure out how we help our employees. There's no need to be anonymous. If you've got a concern, listen, there'll not be one employee that's going to be chastised for having an opinion. Not at all. Everybody's got an opinion. But ultimately, when push comes to shove, we've got to do what's best for our kids. That's what we're all hired to do. So we'll do that the best way we can for the safety of our employees. Yes, ma'am.
What if an employee does not want to wear a mask?
I don't think that we're going to give them the opportunity not to wear a mask. We do, the superintendent and the board policy has broad powers to require measures that protect the safety and well-being of others. It's within board policy. It's also within KRS. The only way that an employee cannot wear a mask, again, is that they produce a medical waiver. Now, the same thing goes for a teacher in the classroom. If you have 12 kids socially distanced in your classroom and you're at the front of your classroom and you're socially distanced from those kids, you don't have to wear a mask during that time. But if you're walking down the hallway, you need to wear a mask. If you move, you mask. We're going to follow the same rules that the kids are going to follow. Bus drivers and bus monitors will have to wear a mask on the bus. That's by governor mandate. That's by public health mandate. So that's the guidance. What we got? Oh, one of our pets.
What about small group, when teachers are working in a small group?
So you got people working in small groups. If they're at small groups in a table during that time, they'd have to wear a mask if they're not 6 feet apart. But when they're socially distanced, they don't have to. So we're going to have the same rules for employees with mask wearing that we actually have for kids.
Have we also looked at the plexiglass petitions?
The Department of Public Health will not sign off on those. They've claimed that there are real concerns about safety hazards and the actual cleaning of those items and whether or not they can be thoroughly cleaned, and they will not approve them. And believe me, it's been asked and answered for the last 10 weeks. That question has. Yeah.
I wanted to make sure.
So, listen, everything, and I can assure, I don't know how much people trust me. You may not like me or whatever, but I think there's one thing for sure, you know, if we're doing something, it's because that's the guidelines and that's why we're doing it. I'm not going to put anybody in danger. I don't want to have that on my heart or have that on my conscience. I don't want one kid, one employee, one grandma, one pawpaw, one mom, one dad, whoever. I don't want nobody to be put in a bad situation. So that's why we're giving parents a choice. We're giving parents an opportunity. But you have to work within the confines of what we're able to do. It's like the person you said today at Myers that got mad because they wouldn't let them in the door for a mask. You know, he either doesn't need to go to Myers anymore, or he needs to get online and place his order and let them bring it out to his car and put it in his car, or stay home and don't pick up whatever he's got if that's what he's going to do. That's the choices that you got. And it doesn't help that he went out and knocked the sign down. Wow, man, you just beat up a sign. I mean,
I witnessed it
wow.
today.
She witnessed it today. You can throw every fit you want to throw. We're going to be kind. We're going to be good to our public. We'll probably sit and take a lot of lip chewing. But I've already told our people, we're going to win them with kindness. We're not going to bow. We've got guidelines that we have to follow, and that's what we're going to do. And we'll give every kid and every opportunity we can. So that's what our plan is. So the first thing is then, well, how do we go back? With the uptick in cases right now, I do not believe it's a good idea for us to go back, and I want you to see the school calendar that is on your agenda. This is almost exactly the same as a calendar you approved, but we just made some small revisions here to try to make sure that we can get our days in, try to do what's best for kids, and try to provide some things. So let's talk about this calendar. Right now, our employees are slated to come back the week of August 3rd through the week of August 7th, those 5 days. That will be 2 PD days, opening day, which we will not meet together like we have in the past. Everybody will meet within their own schools. Principals are already planning these days, and there will be 2 staff days. They're working because they know right now they've got to provide in-person instruction on a hybrid schedule. They're working because they know they've got to provide remote instruction. And not only they got to provide remote instruction, they've got to provide student assistance, and they've got to provide paper and pencil instruction, and they have to have teacher assistance with that. No kid will be asked to go to the house and the parent is responsible 100%. There will be a staff member that will be in contact. They won't actually be teaching the class like they're in class every day, but they will have help and they will have people that are in contact with them. Yes, ma'am.
What about the needs of special ed students that are IEP, meeting those needs accommodations?
We've got specific guidance on how to do that. So the special needs staff during that time, they'll be working with regular ed staff to make those adjustments for special needs students. Also within the remote learning packages that we have bought through Edgenuity, there are ways that you can meet the needs of special needs students in terms of their ability level. So all those things go into those planning days. The other thing that's going to happen during that week of August 3rd is we're going to ask for our parents, and for our parents to feel safe and our students to feel safe, we're going to ask our employees to COVID test that day or during that week. We're setting up a schedule that we will have a team of nurses along with Miss Isford's staff. Test provided for free. It's a free service provided by her. She's not receiving any payment of any kind for anybody that's sitting out there that says, you know, she's a board member, can't profit from anything within the school. Totally volunteer. We have the test kits, and we're going to ask every employee to volunteer and go ahead and take a COVID test. Why, during that week, what's good about that, if something happens, we have somebody that is positive, then we've got 2 weeks before school starts. We can isolate those teachers. We can make sure that we take care of families that's been involved with that. So we can work with our health department in terms of contact tracing and all those things to make sure that if we have the start of an outbreak or the possibility of a start of an outbreak, we can hit that before the first student ever enters a building on the 24th. And yes, I know what COVID testing is. COVID testing says you don't have it today, but we're better to test than not to test, because now you are under a mandate from Back to School with Public Health that we test 10% of our employees monthly. That means 40 people a month. Now, I don't know where those tests are going to come from and how that's going to come about, but that is a mandate right now from Public Health that 10% of your employees test a month. We've got 400 employees, that's 40 per month. But we're going to sort of tackle that the first thing. Our staff will come back again on the 20th and 21st, trying to make sure that we're ready. I'll tell you here in a minute with our reopening plan, we are looking at a hybrid schedule. The first kids will show up on the 24th and 25th which will be Group A. Wednesdays right now, we will not be in school. It will be a day that we will clean. It will be a day that we'll make adjustments. Because that first week, you know what we're going to be doing the first week? And then Thursday and Friday, let me finish this, we'll have Group B. But that first week, we're going to be teaching kids how to protect themselves. The proper way to wear a mask. Social distancing. Washing your hands, especially with young kids. You know, talking about how we protect ourselves, how we protect others. We'll clean on Wednesdays. Our staff will be there making adjustments. For right now, we're going to pay additional staff. We will clean on Saturdays. So every time one group comes in 2 days, we'll clean on Wednesday, deep clean. We're cleaning every day. But we'll deep clean on Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, a new group comes in. We'll deep clean on Saturday. And that's the way we'll start school. And you can see the schedule there as we go forth. You pretty much, we can get our 172 days of school in, which is right now what we would have on the schedule. And I believe it ends, closing day is on May the 20th.
I had a question from staff that asked who's going to be doing all the cleaning. Are they going to be expected to clean their classroom? Are they going to be expected to clean their bus? Who's going to be doing all the cleaning that's needed?
We'll answer those questions here in just a minute, but they will be responsible for some of it.
Okay.
But they're not responsible for all of it. There's some things that they're going to have to do between classes. Custodians aren't going to be able to come and wipe down every desk between classes or wipe the doorknob or the pencil sharpener. So we are going to ask staff to step up and help us.
And bus garage.
And the bus garage. We're going to have a schedule that every morning after the morning bus runs, our buses will be sprayed. Now in the afternoons, our bus driver and bus monitor, while the driver and the monitor, while they're going back home or wherever the monitor gets off, we're going to sort of wipe down the backs of seats. I mean, we'll do those things. And because of the adjustments we've made with schedules, I'm going to tell you, we'll not have any transportation personnel that will be driving over their allotted time, because since we're going on a hybrid schedule, that means there are going to be, number one, fewer people on buses. And then if you're splitting the number of kids riding the bus into 2 groups, you're going to have fewer kids, which means you're going to have fewer stops, which means you're going to have less drive time. And we're going to adjust our schedules, because when our kids get to class, they're not going to go to the lunchroom and stand around. They can't go to the commons area and stand around or go to the gym. They're going to have to go directly to their classrooms, because that's when you get the spread, is when you get them grouping together. So they have to go to their class. So we'll be adjusting schedules and all those things. That we've got those details coming up here in just a minute. But this would allow us to complete 172 school days by May 20th. There's a lot of questions about NTI. So we've made a distinction here in a minute, and you'll see. What we're doing with kids on a daily basis is remote learning. We're doing remote learning either by internet, electronically, or we're doing it by pencil and paper. NTI is going to be used by this district for those 10 snow days or 10 high water days where we cannot have school. What we have done, our NTI plan is that our schools have developed a 10-day course of study that builds on each other based on things that, so the things that they will be doing, that is part of a 10-day unit that they will do. So when we have an NTI day, that's because of snow or that's because of high water. It could just be that we have an NTI day on a day that we may have a flu outbreak. Listen, we're worried about COVID. We'll have flu this year, so we could have some sickness days for flu, not because of COVID. So we can use an NTI day on those days. But there's 10 of those days that we can use that kids will be working from home, and staff members will either be told NTI day, staff report, or if it just says NTI day, they're going to know that they work from home. So that would be our calendar. So, and we put a lot of thought into this, and I think with the numbers as they are right now, if we want to have a possibility of going back in person, we've got to wait to the end of August. So my first thing would be, you already approved a calendar very, very similar to this. There was a few tweaks made to that calendar. So I'd like to ask you to approve this calendar first. and then we're gonna talk about the plan to come back.
So this doesn't have a fall break on it.
It has a 4-day fall break, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And spring break is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday as well. So it's a 4-day break. You've got basically a 3-day break almost as soon as you start school with Labor Day weekend. We have a 4-day break in October. You have a 5-day break at Thanksgiving. You have a 2 full weeks at Christmas. And as we sort of started talking to some employees, if they had the choice of having 2 full weeks off at Christmas or having a full fall break, they'd rather have the 2 full weeks at Christmas to sort of back out, recharge batteries. So then, as you look at that, of course, we got a 3-day break in January. February, we'll have snow. March is the toughest month of all in the school year because unless there's snow or something, it's a pretty long haul from middle of February till you get to April, the spring break. But once you get to spring break, you've got a month of school left. So it's the best we can do under the circumstances because you have to realize we are losing 12 days of school right off the bat. You got to go sometime. So my recommendation would be that we approve that calendar.
Is there a motion? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Calendar's approved.
Now, if we can pull up the reentry plan, and for all the conspiracy theory out there, theorists out there that says, oh, they've had a plan for weeks, we completed this plan at about 12:45 today. It went up at about 1 o'clock, so this is fresh off the presses. There was nothing written on paper until yesterday afternoon that started about 2 o'clock. Leading into that meeting. So I just want everybody to know. And again, guys, this plan is based on conditions as they are right now. But we just saw in the paper today that come out, we have 5 new COVID cases in Estill County. It can explode in a matter of days. In my former home county, 4 weeks ago, they had fewer than 10 cases. Now they're at like 140 in a matter of 3 to 4 weeks. It takes one family going on vacation, bringing it back, one family getting exposed, one family getting exposed by somebody that comes to visit them from out of state. It takes one person to start an outbreak, and that's exactly what happened in my home county. And now they've got lines lined up at the Bell County Health Department every day trying to get COVID tested. It's a panic. My brother lives there. I talk to him almost on a daily basis. He's 70 years old. I'm concerned about him. So that just goes to show. So this plan is the plan today. If the state does not get this under control, there's a good chance that we will start the first day of school on the 24th, remote learning, everybody. If the governor walks to that podium and says, I am asking superintendents to stop all in-person classes and do remote learning, then guess what? That's what we'll have to do. But this is our plan coming back, and we'll talk about how this goes, and we'll talk about some of the concerns. Let's look at part 1, which is student instruction. I think that's the first thing that people's going to want to know. There's going to be 3 options for our parents. And we'll talk about all of the responses here in just a minute. I broke those down for you. We will have in-person hybrid AB model classes. That's based on our survey, is why we chose that, because parents had a concern about kids wearing a mask 7 and 8 hours a day. Well, we can't bring everybody back at first and know that we don't have to have masks on 8 hours a day. So we're going to start out with a hybrid plan that on Monday and Tuesday, A group is coming. Schools will notify parents who A groups are. They won't have a one sibling on A and one on B. We'll work it out to where everybody is together. If you get a schedule for your child and one is on A, one's on B, you don't have to call and be mad. All you have to do is call and say, listen, there's a mistake. I've got a child on 2 different schedules, and we're going to say, Ms. Smith, we will fix that. You don't worry about it. We don't want you to worry about that. We will take care of you and your family. That's what we plan on doing. So that's how we're going to go. This model allows for social distancing, so students do not have to wear a mask while they're in the classroom. Students assigned to A, Monday, Tuesday. Students assigned to B is on Thursday, Friday. On days that students are not in attendance, they will be working remotely. That means they will either have pencil paper assignments that they'll take with them, or they're going to be on computer. We'll work with them based on what their needs are. And then this model will be continually reevaluated based on current local, state, and CDC guidelines. We may very well get into the first 2 weeks of school, and we may figure out that if we put A group and B group together, we still have less than 15 kids in the classroom. Well, based on state guidelines right now and based on the facility guidance, we're seeing at about 17 to 18 kids. If you have that many kids or fewer, you don't have to wear a mask in the classroom. You can social distance it. So after 2 or 3 weeks, if we see that there's only this many coming A, this many coming B, and we can put everybody together, we'll start bringing everybody 4 days a week. And you're saying, well, why is there a push to bring kids to class in person? The one thing that we could not do last spring is worry about the social, emotional needs of our kids. We didn't get to see kids. We know who our kids are that need counseling. We know who our families are that need special assistance. I mean, we're not a rich county. And listen, it doesn't matter where you're at. Fayette County had the same problem because they have a unique population where you have housing projects and those types of things. They couldn't meet the social emotional needs of their kids. So we want to have them in school. As long as we can social distance, wear a mask, and be safe about it, we should be able to do that. It should be no different than going to Walmart or going anywhere else. So, we will continually try to make changes. One thing that's going to come up, it's going to say, well, I've got a problem with childcare. Well, everybody that's working right now has a problem with childcare. Kids aren't in school any day during any week. But we're aware of that, and we will address that as soon as we can. If we can get all kids in school quicker, we will do that. We have a lot of parents that's concerned that emailed in tonight or used the Google form about they're concerned about sending their child to class. They're concerned about because it's health reasons, their health reasons. They're just afraid of the virus. Then we're going to allow you to work from home remote. We're not going to sit here and make it difficult on you. We're going to provide that for you, and we're going to provide assistance. And a lot of parents will call in here and say they want to homeschool their child. I'm thinking they're saying, well, we want them to be learning at home remotely. They want them to work at home. There's a difference between working at home and homeschool. But parents need to consider, why do you want to go on homeschool when we're going to provide the same thing to you for free? Because if you go on homeschool and you have to hire a company to help teach your kids, you're going to have to pay for that. So we're going to provide it to you for free.
Mr. Taylor, may I interject?
Yes.
If parents have a concern, if they would just call me and we will talk about it and work it out, that what's good for them and their child, if they'll just call the central office and ask for Tanya Isaacs, I'll be glad to talk to them.
And now that our employees have this, most of our employees are going to be able to answer these questions. They can call the schools, but Tanya is, right now, her role is DPP. She knows what her day is. She's probably, how many parents do you talk to today?
Many a day.
So there's quite a few. We'll talk to every one of them so that they'll feel comfortable about what we're doing. And then you got remote learning by pencil and paper. And again, teachers will provide support under each of those areas. Just a couple of notes. If families and students choose remote learning, we're asking that you commit for at least the first 9 weeks, because we've got to get, did I say something wrong?
No, you're fine.
Okay, I thought maybe I mispronounced something.
No, you're good.
So we asked that they commit for 9 weeks, but now listen, at the end of 3 weeks, if they have a change in their job placement or something, we're not gonna say, I think there's a firestorm very close to us right now because they're telling them they can't switch, that they've already made the decision now. And I just don't feel I can do that. Because you know what's going to happen when the first principal says, somebody calls next week and they choose remote learning, and somebody calls on August 4th and say, listen, we've changed our mind. We'd like for Johnny to come to school. And that principal, so I'm sorry, you put down remote learning, you got to stay in remote learning. Well, who they calling next? Me. And then who they calling after me? You. And I told them, I said, we're not going to do it. We're going to do it with kindness. We're about customer service. We're going to do what's best for our kids. We're going to do what our parents want. But now the one thing we're not going to do, if parents don't want them to wear a face mask, that's out. We can get you in a schedule. We can change how you get to school, how you do school, but we can't do some things. But now the things that we can do, the things that we control, we're going to do it with a smile on our face. And if we have to change that kid 3 times between now and the first day of school, we'll change 3 times if that's what mom wants to do. But we'll get everything lined out. We'll make exceptions in certain situations and circumstances, and then that's my statement about NTI. NTI is instruction during weather days. And those will be the ones you'll see on the news. They'll get that 10-day packet. Every kid's gonna have that 10-day NTI packet in their hands. Hopefully they'll take it home. They probably need to take it home the first day, put it up on their little shelf where they know it's at, because when it comes November the 15th and there's snow flying on the ground, and you get a one call from me at 5:30 in the morning that says, this is Jeff Slater, Superintendent of Estill County Schools. There's no school in the Estill County School System Day. This is NTI Day 1. All staff will report. So that means they're to do their work. The staff will be at the school to answer questions and help them on anything that they're supposed to do. So is there any questions about instruction?
What about the NTI? What would they entail? Would it be across the curriculum? Or would it be geared to one subject area or all?
It's more unit-based, Sheila.
Okay.
Some of it is project-based.
Okay, good.
And so at the end of the year, they will collect that work. It might be a project they work on all year, and then at the end, they'll get a grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
It will count as a single grade is what we've asked them to do.
Yeah.
So sometime in the 4th 6 week or the 4th 9 weeks grading period, they will get a grade, a single grade for their 10 days of NTI work based on what they did. This is, and again, we're getting ready to talk about attendance here next. Let me lump attendance and then we'll see if there's anything else. We understand there's concerns about attendance policy. Are we going to be taking people to court? Right now, you can't get in the courthouse, okay? So our goal is not to take people to court. Our goal is to get kids in school as many days as they can. And if somebody has to miss on a Tuesday and they're Group A and they have to miss on a Tuesday, we're not going to come hounding the door down on you. You know, we're going to pick up the phone and say, listen, John wasn't here today. Is he okay? Is everything okay? Can we help you with anything? This is what he missed today. You know, here it is. It's posted online. He can go online and get it if it's a high school student or whatever. Or don't worry, you know what your work is for the rest of the week, because on Mondays, we'll probably have to give them, this is what we're doing on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So they'll know what it is, so we'll see you back next Monday. We're not going to worry about taking them to court. It's going to be more about kindness. How can we help you? Is there something we can do for you? Your family? Is there an issue? Car broke down, we need to get you some help. We'll get you some help. That's what it's going to be about. We're not going to be taking you to court and saying, Judge, this kid here's missed 35 days. But now with that also comes, and teachers are going to provide, you know, absenteeism will be reviewed on an individual basis. And here's the thing about absences. The bottom line at the end of the day, we had a lot of students, not a lot, but at the end of NTI last spring, we started having a lot of students that would not complete their work. And here's what everybody's got to understand. It's not about the number of days that you come. It's not about the number of days you're on remote learning. It's not about whether you're doing it pencil, paper, or you're doing it by computer. The point is, you have to complete your work. We're going to provide you with all the assistance. We didn't cut one teacher in this district. We had additional instructional assistants that's been hired. We're hiring additional nurses to help our kids. We've hired an additional counselor, thank God, last spring, that's going to make a big difference this coming year in terms of counseling and the help for our kids. We will provide the assistance that everybody needs. The one responsibility that students and then parents have to make sure that it happens is you got to do your work. You're not going to get rewarded for not doing your work. If you're a third grader and you don't help your child and you don't work with us and help them complete the work that's in front of them, they're not going to be able to be promoted. They're not going to be promoted just because they were enrolled in the books. And that's especially true when you get to high school. You have to have 25 credits to graduate this year. You can't sit home and not do your work. Now, who knows? We may waive the 25 credit limit again. Based on NTI, based on hardships that it causes. You waived it this past year, 22 credits for graduation. We had about 10 kids that took advantage of that. We don't have as many this coming time to take advantage of it, but it may help 5 or 6. I'm not here to punish a kid and say, you got to come back for 1 credit. That's stupid. You know what's going to happen? They're going to drop out. We're not going to do something stupid on our end that's going to cause a kid not to be successful. But I'm telling you what we can't do. We can't come home and do the work for you. And that's the thing. We're not going to worry about absences. We're going to worry about whether work is done or not. So we had issues with teachers issuing grades. There's going to be weekly grades issued in every class. We're not going to have NTI packets that's going to lay around for 3 weeks. The guidance says that they need to rest at least 24 to 48 hours. That means if you get stuff on a Friday afternoon, by Monday morning you can look at it and grade it and you should be able to issue a grade. If you got people in person, you should be able to issue some type of grade. So there's going to be weekly grade checks for all of our kids. And kids that are not doing their work, if you're on computer, if you're on Edgenuity, you're going to have so many lessons you have to complete that week. If you don't complete those lessons, your grade for that week is an incomplete. Yes, ma'am.
What about remediation? Let's do remediation.
Remediation will be something that we'll have all of our teachers that are our flex teachers, that they don't call them that everywhere, they're rotational teachers and stuff. Somebody's going to be assigned. Somebody will be assigned to make those calls. Amanda was working today, really worried about special needs kids, how we work with them. There may be some groups of kids eventually that we see that are struggling. We may adapt our schedule to be, I said the schedule could change. We may be A on Monday, Tuesday, C on Wednesday. In Group C are students that are struggling, having a hard time, that they may need an extra day. We've got high school students right now that didn't complete NTI work from last year. We could work with them to help them catch up and gain credits that they didn't do last year. It's going to be different than it ever has before, and we're going to bend over backwards to help a child be successful. But we're not going to bend over backwards. We're not going to hand you a credit, or we're not going to promote you to the next grade if you don't participate. And listen, I don't even care. You go to a homeschool program. You go to a homeschool program, you can pay $500 a year for a homeschool program, but if your child doesn't do anything, they don't get promoted. And if they're in high school on a homeschool program and they don't get a credit issued to them, they don't get a credit when they come back. Well, they were in homeschool, they took English. Do you have a transcript? No, I'm sorry. They'll have to retake it. High school's a different animal. So I just want to emphasize that kids have to work. They have to do the work. And we're going to be there to help. And listen, if we have anybody that's not there to help, the bottom line is that that's what our job is. We'll be having discussion. We won't have to worry about it. Listen, we've got great employees. They'll do exactly what they need to do to help kids be successful. I have full 100% faith that our employees will do the right thing. We'll be there to reach out. We're going to meet you halfway, and in most cases, we're probably going to meet you 75% of the way. You just have to help us. Any questions about those first two things? Now just know that this is more or less an outline for you all. This will be published tomorrow, so all of our parents can pull it off. It'll go live in the morning sometime on the website. It'll go live social media, Facebook. It'll go on everything, so it'll be published in the morning, exactly how we're going to deal with things. But just know that within each one of these areas, there's multiple documents that will be 3 and 4 pages long that have all the little details. Everybody doesn't need to know every little detail. You just need to know the highlights. And then if we need to answer little details, we will. Just like Tanya said, call. We'll tell you. It's not a secret. So I think we can go through some of these others. I think that's the big thing. That's the big thing that was on the questions about student instruction. But healthy minds at school and home, social emotional health. This is what you can't get sitting at home. We've got to be in contact with our kids. And like I said, the first week of school, you know what we're going to be doing? We're going to be teaching kids how to be healthy, how to be how to be safe, how to take care of themselves, how to take care of others. The other thing we're going to be doing, we're going to be map testing immediately. We need to know where kids are at. They've not been in school since March. So if we don't know where they're at, we can't meet their needs. And we're going to have to provide opportunities for our parents that have kids learning remotely. We're going to have to provide some opportunities after school. Social distance that they can come in and test so we'll know where they're at too. Hopefully parents will work with us in order to do that. And maybe we can bring a group in on Wednesday. Maybe we can run that bus on Wednesday and bring in some of the remote learners. We'll figure all that out, the little details. I told them the other day, don't get in the weeds yet. We're not in the weeds here. We're just cutting the regular lawn right now. And if we need to get in the weeds, we will. But we'll figure out how to get kids here. But we want to have staff, so we're going to have opportunities to discuss. One of the first things we're going to do, how did COVID impact you? How did it impact you as a child? We're going to give kids an opportunity to speak. How did that impact you? And before they even do that, the week of the 3rd through the 7th, the staff's going to do the same thing. How's it impacted you? I don't know. We could have very well had staff members that had families that live away from here. They may have had somebody that's died of COVID-19. We need to get that out in the open. We need to try to heal. We need to provide healing and provide support for our staff and for our kids. So that's what this is all about. School mental health practices will be followed. We turn on over to the next page. PBIS, which is our positive behavior instruction and support, has been updated. So we're going to tell kids, this is how you wash your hands. This is how you wear your face mask. You know, when you're dealing with your face mask, don't touch the portion of your face mask that goes over your mouth. You touch it by the straps that you put behind your ear. We're going to teach them how to do all those things. We're going to teach them when you social distance, when you wear your mask, when you don't wear your mask. We're going to do all those things with them. Counseling is available. We have counselors available. We have good counselors. Our principals have been told counselors need to counsel. They don't need a bunch of duties that take them away from what they were hired to do. And then we'll have universal crisis plans, and our crisis team will meet early on, and we will be prepared because ultimately we hope that it doesn't happen. I don't think we've had a death in Estill County because of COVID-19, but at some point in time we may. And if it does, it very well could impact a child or an adult that's in this school system. So we want our crisis team to be ready to meet the needs of that student, that family, that staff member if something like that did happen. So that's social emotional health. Under healthy at school PPE and screening requirements, the district will be providing masks to students and keeping disposable masks on hand for visitors, staff, and students that don't have a mask upon arrival. There's going to be times somebody's going to forget a mask. Listen, I left the house the other morning, got a half mile down the road, and I said, God, I left my phone. I turned around and went back and got my phone, got 2 miles down the road, and I said, I'm crazy. I'm driving the truck. They're putting a brand new windshield in my Jeep today, and I know I had to bring my Jeep, so I had to go back home. It took me 3 times to leave the house before I got it right. So do we not think a child's going to leave a mask? Now, we're not gonna punish them. Now, if we got somebody just refusing to wear a mask, we're gonna have to say, listen, I'm sorry. If you wanna come, wear a mask. If you don't, then let's sign you up for remote learning. That's the choices. You don't have the choice to come and not wear the mask. Only exception, a verified medical note. Not a note from mom that says they have asthma or a runny nose, a note from a physician or a nurse practitioner or a certified professional. That's what the Department of Public Health says. So we're buying masks. All students and visitors are going to receive a temperature check. We're going to ask kids that ride the bus, we're going to ask parents to take their temperature before they leave the house to get on the bus. We're not going to take temperatures getting on the bus because I just flat out refuse. The most dangerous time for a child riding a bus is loading and unloading a bus, and I'm not going to have kids waiting on the side of the road waiting to get their temperature checked. So we're going to ask parents to do that. We bought thermometers today. For any family that does not have a thermometer, we will supply you with a thermometer. That's what our CARES Act money is for. We can buy a good little thermometer for $8 or $9. It's easy to read, and we'll provide you with a thermometer if you don't have one. But now when kids get to school, they're going to have designated entrances that they go through. We have paid $20,000 for thermal imaging cameras that will take their temperature as they go by. They're going to have to put their wrist up and it's going to take their temperature. If that camera, if that system flags that child will be pulled off to the side and they will have their temperature checked with a normal thermometer. We've got all the guidelines in place to meet those needs for any child that may be running the temperature. And we'll work with parents on that. All staff and students and visitors, when they're reporting to school, they have to have a mask. If mom shows up to check their child out, you can't get in the door without a mask. If you don't have one, there'll be a disposable mask there that you will be put on. If you don't put on a disposable mask outside in that waiting area, you will never be buzzed into the office. That's just public health guidelines again. And then preschool and kindergarten students will not be required to wear a mask, but if you as a parent wish for them to wear a mask, certainly they can wear a mask. But now we're going to have to do a lot of work with preschoolers and kindergartens, talking to them about masks, talking to them about why it's important. It's going to be a struggle, just to be honest. But if you've worked with your child and your child wants to wear a mask, they can. But they're not required by public health. And I think that's just because of some of the research, isn't it, Donna, that students that young generally are not carriers and do not get the disease. Plus, it's a headache to try to keep a mask on them. Sometimes it's a headache to keep their shirts and pants on them, you know. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. So, but we're going to work with them. That's part of what we're here for. We're here to work with them. So that's healthy at school. Sanitation. We're going to talk about frequent hand washing. There's going to be sanitizing stations throughout the building. We're going to have proper sanitation measures. I just wanted to show you, they told me to show you all today. We have spent $20,000 on these backpack sprayers. They're electrostatic, and I'm moving, so I better do the right thing here. They're electrostatic, so what happens is it creates a charge. So when they will spray that classroom or spray a bathroom down, because of that electric charge, this chemical is going to stick to that surface. It dries within about 5 minutes, and at that point in time, 99.9% of all viruses and germs are killed with this. We had to do that. We can't have custodians going in a classroom and wiping down every desk, every seat. You know, it takes 15, 20 minutes. A custodian trained to use this, 5 minutes max. They'll just go in and they'll spray that classroom. We'll do the same thing on buses. Every morning after the bus runs, they'll come, they'll go on that bus, they'll spray it down front to back. Smaller areas, you have just basically the same thing, only it's a That's the wand for that one. You have sort of a gun that you just spray for smaller areas. A smaller office does the same thing. We purchased, as I said, $30,000 worth of sanitizing materials. That's what the CARES money was for, that's what we're spending it for. So parents should feel good. Now, I didn't really get to show parents maybe this one, I had my back to them, but this is just for smaller areas. It's just a gun that's got a tank here that you can spray everything down with in just a matter of minutes. Yes,
What
ma'am.
about our air filtration systems in our schools?
We are in the process of buying additional filters. We'll be changing filters probably on a monthly basis, whereas normally we do them 4 times a year. So the larger filters, what are they called?
HIPAA.
Yeah, our HVAC systems are not designed for those types of filters. So we will not be able to do that. But we'll be changing them more often and trying to make sure that we're keeping surfaces clean. You're going to see bathrooms at the high school between every class sprayed down every hour. Same thing in your elementary schools. When classrooms are vacant because of planning, they're going to be sprayed down. They won't be sprayed down every time because remember, you're still hand sanitizing, you're still washing your hands. There's multiple things that you have to do. But we'll have all that in place and all that equipment is coming in. Transportation, as I've said, bus riders, if you ride the bus, you have to wear a mask. The only reason not to wear a mask is to have a medical exemption. Preschool and kindergarten students do not have to wear a mask. We're going to ask parents and guardians to take the temperature before they get on the bus. Students will have assigned seats. There's no way around that. That's because of contact tracing. We have to know where they're sitting at. We also have video documentation on every bus of where that child's sitting at. And again, that's part of the public health partnership that we will have. Loading and unloading buses will adhere to the same practices. They'll continue to wear a mask. There'll be assigned places they come into the building. And if a student does not want to wear a mask, if you don't want to wear a mask, find another way to school or learn at home remotely. We do not have any exception. There is no leeway for that under the guidelines that we've been given. Car riders, students will be dropped off at their designated point. Students must wear a mask as soon as they leave that car. And they'll wear that mask all the way to their classroom. If that classroom's social distance, mask comes off. Their temperature's going to be taken as they come through the door. Like for instance, at the high school, we'll be able to do everybody at one door. The entry point's going to be the gym, the far gym door. So they'll come up the gym lobby, 6 feet at a time. They'll scan their wrist. They'll go to class. So car riders will come in. If they drive, they'll come in from the back, and there'll be a separate station for them to take their temperature with a regular thermometer. But car riders also get off at the end of the gym. So we'll have spots out front. We'll try to put spots out there for social distancing where everybody will know where 6 feet's at. But they're moving, so they should also have a mask on at that time when they get out of that car. And then I talked about student drivers. That's high school only. They got to wear a mask when they get out of the car. They have to come to that back entrance. That back entrance back by the band room, guys, is in really bad shape. But Todd and I talked today. We're going to locate a company. We need to do some work in that stairwell. It won't cost a lot of money, but it's just deteriorated over time because you know how you put salt on concrete and what it does? Those stairs are in bad shape. It won't be bad for the first few months because we're in daylight. We're also, you're not expecting a lot of bad weather, but we'll have them fixed before bad weather fits for our drivers to come into that area. And that's how we're going to deal with transportation. Now again, Mr. Willis will have a 3 or 4 page document dealing with transportation. And then we'll flip over to the last 2 things, food service. Guys, this is based on Healthy at School guidelines. Students are not going to be able to eat in the lunchrooms. They're not going to be able to congregate. They're going to have to eat in their classrooms. So doesn't mean they won't have hot meals for lunch. Breakfast may be more of a grab-and-go type breakfast, but we'll still try to serve hot meals. On the days that you do not have school, if you're Group B and it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you'll be able to pick up a meal. We'll provide meals. If we can work out a schedule, we'll still do our satellite locations. We're looking into that if we can. We're even looking into the possibility that on Wednesdays that our bus transportation personnel will just deliver lunches on their route, because they have to work anyway, so why not just let them deliver meals along their route? So we're looking at that as possibilities as well. So that's providing meals. We're going to continue to provide meals on off days and all those different situations that we may have. A lot of people's going to talk about athletics or want to know about athletics. Guys, I can't tell you anything about athletics. All I know is right now we're still in a holding pattern to August 3rd. The KHSAA is scheduled to meet again on July the 28th. I'm telling you that every bit of news that we're getting here lately is bad. KMEA has now canceled the state marching band championships, or they will be taking a final vote, but that final vote is just sort of a preliminary final vote. That is gone. We're going to have to make some determinations in terms of now, since there's not actual competition, are we going to be able to see them participate in other band competitions? There's going to be no out-of-state travel. But, you know, we probably don't want our band to get on a bus and go to Owensboro either, because Owensboro's in a heck of a lot worse shape COVID-wise than we are. Lexington's in a lot worse shape than we are. So where are you going to send your band that you're going to feel comfortable about them being able to go and perform and not get sick? Athletics is the same way, guys. I'm telling you right now, we're in very much danger of losing athletics for the fall. And I never thought we would be there, but I'm telling you, there was people got upset last week, and you all know I'm still just an advisory member on the KHSAA board. I don't have a vote, but I'm telling you right now, if we'd had to take a vote last week, sports were gone. There's no way we could have had sports based on the current situation and felt good about the fact that we wouldn't have had problems. We're shut down for 2 weeks because of possible contamination. Hazard High School has 10 or 15 players now and several coaches that have tested positive on their football team. You had a high school in Lexington, you had a cheerleader, a soccer player, and a football player, maybe a couple of football players test positive yesterday in Lexington. So that was my whole deal about a mask early on. If we don't start wearing masks and protecting ourselves, we're taking away a lot of opportunities for our kids, because there's not going to be seasons. And if there is going to be seasons, Lord forbid that we play Powell County on opening night and no fans are allowed to attend. What do you think that's going to be? When somebody pulls up to the gate and says, I'm going to that game. Somebody's going to say, no, sorry, you're not. I mean, it has a lot of bad situations that can happen, and it could all be stopped just by us taking and caring a little bit about each other. So, yes, sir.
Let's just say something happens. I mean, you're having to think about these things now because it's happening. So we get some kind of situation like Hazard High. We have enough substitute teachers to, you know, you've got coaches that are normally mostly teachers, and you know, if it infiltrates our school system,
we could have problems. And that's where, Brian, I mean, we're going to have to depend on public health. I know that they're taking steps right now. We have a shortage of people in our health department due to retirements and stuff like that. I know they're taking some steps here in the next couple of weeks to correct that. So I know Judge Watson is working along that line with some newly appointed board members. We've got to get our health department back up and running at full strength. We got 3 people right now that's killing themselves trying to do it. And a lot of the work is falling to our local providers that now are having to kill themselves and not getting paid, honestly, to do the work that the health department could have been doing, but through no fault of their own, they just don't have the personnel to do it. So, I mean, we've got a public health situation in our county with that. Thank God we're not one of the hot spots, in this state for that. But a lot of the things that's going to happen is going to determine or be determined by public health. And that's some of the questions that we got here in a minute, and they've asked, what happens if we have a COVID case? What happens if we have that situation? If we were able to start football on time, and we'll just use football as an example, and let's say we get to week 2 and 15 of our players test positive, we're either going to have to decide, do we have enough players left to play, or are we just going to forfeit that game? And the bottom line is, we would probably have to forfeit that game. We don't have 100 players. We can't even get 100 players together. You can't have a group of 50 right now. You can't have more than 50 people in one location right now, and based on the Healthy at Sports guidelines, even if you have 50, you got to have a coach for every 10. So you can have 5 adults for 50 players. So there's some strict guidelines right there that we could see teams that miss games. We could make the playoffs, have 8 kids test positive the week of the playoffs, and we wouldn't be able to go play our playoff game. It would just be a forfeit. And there'll be some teams that do that if we end up in a season. So it's going to be a very fluid situation in terms, and you're talking about the University of Kentucky right now, guys. I'm telling you, Southeastern Conference, in my opinion, they're going to lose all non-conference games. I don't think there's any way that they're going to be able to do something different than Big Ten and Pac-12 and all those other things. So if that's the case, we could see the first 5 weeks of football season wiped out. That could happen. And what's happening here is that everybody keeps saying, well, they're playing AAU basketball. KHSAA ain't got a thing to do with AAU basketball. Honestly, unless the governor does some kind of executive order banning them from playing in state, that's private enterprise. That's like all these summer league travel baseball and softball teams. They're playing all over the place. But that doesn't mean that football's okay to go on, because then it falls back. That's the school district. That's the school. That's a public entity having to deal with those things. So I think that's one reason too, that this legislation that may provide some relief in terms of frivolous lawsuits, and I know Jonathan's up on top of that, that's going to be something that's important moving forward, even for school districts. So it's going to be important moving forward. So with that being said, this is how we want to plan. If we were starting school Monday, this is what we would do. And we'll address some of the questions here with that. But I would ask for your all's approval, and then we'll go ahead and do item number D, and then we'll go back to public questions. Is that okay for everybody? Does anybody have any questions? And guys, please let me tell everybody, it's with heavy heart that we do a lot of this stuff. And I mean, listen, your board is there to listen to you as a public, but your board has very little control in terms of when you have public health mandates. You got a nurse practitioner over here that owns a clinic that deals with public health every day. This board has very little say when it comes to public health issues. Is that correct, Ms. Isper? Very little say. Now, you can pick up the phone, and I'm sure they'll be glad to listen to you. They'll be glad, but just know that in the end, we're a public entity. We're under the control of public health. We're under control of local government. We're under control of our legislature, who then in turn operates KDE with the State Board of Education. So there's very little guidance that we have. Now, there is local control. I'm asking you to approve this plan within the means that we have, but just know that public health picks up the phone the week before we're supposed to start school, and they say, listen, we can't have in-person classes. This plan goes out the door. So we have to plan the best case scenario.
They're the ranking official.
They're the ranking official. That's exactly right. And they hold rank over me. They hold rank over this board. They hold rank over what goes on within our public schools. And I think for us, we're in a different situation. I understand why Jefferson County may opt for online, totally. Look at the number of cases and the deaths that are in Jefferson County. But we're in a different situation right now, and yes, we're in a time that we've got to be very careful. We need to be diligent about trying to protect ourselves, but I think this is a good plan right now to give our parents some idea this is what we're going to do. So I would ask, my recommendation would be, and at the work of our staff here for the last few days, it's been reviewed. Anybody that wasn't in the meeting today has been asked to review this to see if there's any things. It's a living document. We might have to make a few tweaks here and there, but overall, this is how we're going to try to start back school. And our principals are going to start working tomorrow to try to make sure that we got the right kids in A, the right kids in B. We got guidance in place for kids that need additional help. We're going to do all those things, but they need some direction from us tonight. So that's my recommendation.
You making a motion? Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed?
You think I could sign Will up for A and B?
You think he needs it? Let's do D, and then we'll go back to public comments. Jeremy, we still got 26?
No, sir, we have 27 now.
Okay, we'll make sure that that other one goes along with whatever we have. If not, we'll answer that one. But item D is the graduation date. And guys, I'm telling you, when we tape the virtual graduation, I meant every word I said. This board was committed to have an in-person graduation. And at that time, with numbers going down, and at that time, we went from 200 cases down to less than 200 a day, and then on some weekends, less than 100. I thought we were headed to the fact that we could have an in-person graduation. But because of the recent uptick, we're still in phase 3 guidance and no more than 50 people in any one place at any one time. Again, we're a public entity under the control of the legislature, the governor, public health, and I see no way that we can have an in-person graduation. And the bad part about it is I feel like it's just like we're slapping some of our seniors one final time going out the door. But the bottom line is, for their health and safety and the welfare of their parents and anybody else that would be involved in that graduation, I don't think we could have that graduation. So I don't know if we need a formal vote on that. I hate to put you all on record as having a vote not to have a graduation, but I don't think we would have to have a public vote to do that. We just know, based under current guidelines, it doesn't matter whether we're for it or not, we can't do it. So we will make the announcement tomorrow if it's okay with you all. I won't put you on the record. There's no need to do that, but we'll make a formal announcement tomorrow also that graduation for July the 31st at 8 p.m. has been canceled. We will make arrangements for our seniors to pick up their diplomas either in person, and if that is an issue, we will mail them to them. We'll use some of our CARES Act money in order to do that. We're also still under a FEMA declaration, so there will be some of these expenses that we've had to incur that will be covered by FEMA as well. So I just want to inform you all that. I wouldn't even ask for a vote on that because there's no need to vote, because you could vote yes and public health would call us tomorrow and say, you're not doing it. So let's just...
I think it's just important for the record that, everybody knows we have a heavy heart about making that decision. And it's just unprecedented times and it's just out of our control, but...
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, it's almost like you're just giving them one more slap going out the door, and nobody meant to do that. I really thought that we would be in a situation that we could do that. I don't know. We've tried. The virtual graduation ceremony was a nice ceremony. Wallingford Broadcasting did a wonderful job helping us put that together. The staff at the high school, the schedule that they kept for 4 days and getting that done, it was something that will be a keepsake for them to be able to keep. They have their graduation programs, what their graduation programs would have looked like, and I appreciate the board's commitment to try to do a professional graduation program that they can be proud of. It's a keepsake for them. and we'll get their diplomas to them. And again, we would congratulate the class of 2020, and we apologize from the bottom of our heart. There's no way we would do this under normal circumstances. Yes, Sheila?
And I also wanted to apologize because I love this class dearly because I worked with them from kindergarten up to 7th grade. And I was not able to participate in the virtual graduation because I had medical issues that they had during that time. But I want to apologize and tell them I love them.
Anyone else has anything they want to say about the senior class?
I just think about my kids, you know, and them not being able to go through that actual ceremony with everybody that they love around them, and, you know, being a, like you said, you used that statement before, you know, it's like a baptism, it's a,
Rite of passage.
rite of passage, and I hate it so bad for them. I'm pretty sure you said it many times, I share the views with everybody else. I hate it so bad. Makes me feel bad. Makes me feel really bad.
I hate it for them too, but to be honest, a lot of the people that have contacted me about it, they're very content with our virtual graduation. They were happy with all that, and I think they all understand. They know. They all understand.
And the senior parade was really nice. They done a fine job with that. And once we worked with public health and local government, we were able to get that put together. And I appreciate our local government and local health department helping us that, and Sheriff Flynn and again, the high school staff. And I mean, there's a lot of people went out of the way to really show their appreciation. The signs out here on the front yard, that was an awesome sight for our graduating seniors. But you know, they're moving on. Most of them are moving on. Some of them already have moved on. We already knew we had a couple seniors that their families had moved and were not going to be able to participate. I know that some of them are starting school. There's information going up on the website this coming week about FAFSA forms. There's been a lot of students that's not filled out FAFSA forms. There's a lot of financial aid out there for students to go to school. If you qualify, please get those FAFSA forms filled out. Even if you don't want to leave home, there's going to be a lot of schools providing online learning for college. Get signed up, get moving towards a degree, if that's what you want to do. And if you don't want a 4-year degree, Bluegrass Community Technical College is a good choice for career fields that require a 2-year degree. So help yourselves and listen to any of our graduating seniors. If you need help, our counselors are there. I know our 2 high school counselors, Miss Lauren Rader and Miss Callie Rogers. They do a fantastic job. They're brand new, they're enthusiastic, they're there to help you. And listen, we say once an engineer, always an engineer, right? So you're still our babies, you're still our students, you're our responsibility, and we're here to try to help you. So you don't hesitate to call if you need help. But we probably won't bring it up again because it just keeps tearing open an old wound. But tonight probably sort of seals the final fate on the graduation. And we apologize with all of our hearts. And hopefully everybody understands.
And in the words of Dr. Seuss, oh, the places you will go.
Yeah. Any others? You want to go back and share the survey responses for board forum?
We can, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we have public comments.
Back to public comments. Yeah. If we can go back to public comments,
Right.
which was item 9.
Yes.
What I did, we had 26 questions. I hate to say we had a couple of questions that were just mean. I took them off. I tried to take their point. We have those documented. We can send you every question if you want them. We have them documented and we can send you the specific questions. But I took time this afternoon, and this is a summary page that I gave everybody. And Felicia, when we're through, we can put this as part of our comments. We'll put this up on the site because all of these documents are there for the public to see. If you want to go to KSBA online, you can see the agenda and you can see all the documents as well. And this is a summation of what's happened and what these questions ask. And I'll just start there at the top, and we've answered most of these, but I don't want to also just skirt over these and make people think that we don't care. We do care. We want your comments. As Tanya said, if you need to talk about this tomorrow, you call here. Somebody will be here to help you. There'll be somebody at our schools to help you. So don't feel like that we don't want to answer questions. We're going to do all that we can. But just why in-person classes? Well, 70% of the respondents on the survey said they wanted their kid back in school. Now, there's 30% that don't. We're providing you opportunity, but that's why we're doing in-person classes. Why are we doing an A-B schedule? Because according to the survey, parents were concerned. Almost 60% of the parents were concerned because they didn't want their child wearing a mask for 7 and 8 hours a day. So we had to figure out how to do that. And the only way that we can do that to begin with is start on an A-B schedule. And then after the first couple weeks, if we can see we can bring everybody 4 days a week, we'll scrap A-B and we'll go Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday for a while. As long as we can social distance, we'll do that. We're not going to say this is the only way we're going to do this, because I'm telling you, all we're going to do is get criticism if that's what we're going to do. We're going to have to be able to change with the times, with the situation that we have. At some point in time, if people will start wearing a mask and we can start knocking these numbers down, there could be a time, sometime late fall, we could be in class 5 days a week. And if you're still afraid that your child doesn't need to come because of a medical issue or because of a medical issue at home, you can still do remote learning, and we're going to help you. We're going to take care of you. It's our job to take care of it. We are public servants hired by the taxpayers of Estill County. We're going to take care of our students and our parents. Remote versus in-person learning, about 13 different people talked about that they either wanted remote learning. You've got remote learning if that's what you want to do. There's questions about NTI days. Remember that NTI days are weather days. We will have a maximum of 10 NTI days this coming year. That's what we're allowed by law. Now, you're going to hear the state said we got unlimited NTI days. Well, those are unlimited remote learning days for us. We just felt like we needed to make a distinction between what remote learning and NTI was. Because hopefully in the future, we will get back to full-time in-person classes. Hopefully that's 21-22, when the new tech center opens, and we'll have a big celebration that August for the opening of that facility. Attendance policies. More important than the attendance policies is the completion of student work, as I talked about. We're not coming to your house and knocking on your door and say, Johnny has missed 14 days of school, he's truant, we're taking you to court. That's not going to happen. That's not our desire. But now, if Johnny's missed 14 days of school and he's not completed one assignment, then we got a problem. Because the only way then we can get you moving is possibly use attendance because he's not doing his work. That's the only way there's going to be consequences for not being in attendance. Johnny can miss because he's sick or doesn't feel well or whatever, as long as he's doing his work. But he can't not do his work, not come to school as well. And he can't do it at remote learning. If you sign up for remote learning and you go 15 days and you don't strike a lick at nothing, you were absent 15 days. And we're going to ask parents to set up times. Set up specific times. Have a routine. If your child's doing remote learning, by 9 o'clock, they should be working on their work. Are they going to work a solid 6 or 7 hours? Maybe not. But they need to have some set times from 9 to 11:30. They can break for lunch, do a couple 3 hours in the afternoon, but have a set time for them. That should answer those questions. Healthy at school, mask, I think we've talked about when masks are going to be worn. Whenever you can social distance, you don't have to, and temperature checks are going to be done. And if you ride a school bus, well, we talked about school bus down here in a minute. So that's in terms of temperature checks. 5 people asked about that. What happens when somebody is quarantined? Does it shut down the whole school? My understanding, based on public health right now, is that it's possible for a student in Miss Smith's third grade class to be tested positive for COVID, and only that class or only certain individuals in that class could be asked to quarantine. But that will be at the direction of public health. We won't have a lot of say-so in that. We can communicate to our parents that, you know, Miss Smith's class will need to quarantine for the next 2 weeks. We can announce that. Or if it's just a few individual students, we can contact those parents and say, listen, your child was in contact with somebody that's tested positive for COVID, and they need to quarantine for 14 days, and here's what you need to look for. We're going to give them the look fors. If your child starts doing this, or this, you need to seek medical attention immediately. It could be that a child is quarantined because they've come in contact with somebody at church. And they call from a contact tracer, calls from the health department, and says, because somebody was sick at church, your child needs to stay home. That doesn't mean that the other 10 kids in that class has to stay home. So it's going to be on a case-per-case basis. But I'm going to tell you the first thing we're going to do. We're going to err on the side of caution before we err on the side of somebody getting sick. And that is a promise. That's a promise from me to you. That's a promise from me to this community, to our staff, and everybody else. We will err on the side of caution. There was transportation questions, and it's just simple. You're not going to be able to buoy yourself on the bus if you don't wear a mask. You don't wear a mask, you don't get on the bus. It's not going to happen. That's the requirement to do that. And not being mean, not trying to be hateful. That's just the policy that we have to follow, dictated to us from on high. That's all that matters right now. So the other part of that is we're going to ask parents. I know that I can't make you do it, but we're going to ask you, you're going to get a sheet of paper that says if your child rides a bus, you're going to agree that you're going to take their temperature. If you don't have a thermometer, we're going to buy them. We're going to give you one. You're going to have the ability to do it. You got to help us. You got to help us. Help us keep your child safe. The other one is sanitation and cleaning. Believe it or not, that was a student that sent this question. What are you going to do to help sanitize? I thought, we've got a plan in place. We've spent $100,000 on cleaning and sanitation equipment to make sure that our buildings are clean. You know, everybody talks about that $960,000 of CARE Act money. That $906,000 worth of CARE Act money is disappearing pretty quick. And so you as a board know, Angie and I are meeting tomorrow in terms of budgeting that money. We're probably going to end up, it's like $1 million. We're going to end up spending and probably putting like $250,000 into contingency based on the fact that come November, when it comes time people start paying their taxes, taxes aren't going to come in on time. We might as well realize that, because there's people not working, businesses hurting, and those types of things. Their tax bill is going to be the furthest thing from their mind. Now, I have full faith that when our people are able to pay their tax bills, they will. This county, there's one thing about it that I've seen over my 5 years here. Most of the citizens of this county, over 92% of them, believe in paying their taxes. We're not like some places where 50% pay their taxes and you're having to beg and borrow and plead and turn them over to tax collectors. Our people pay their taxes. And that's because of the kind of people that we have in Estill County. We're a good old solid mountain community that believes in doing the right thing. But I know right now that we've got some people that's going to be hurting, and tax revenue may not come in time. So we'll take and budget some of that CARES money. Athletics was something that was mentioned, and I just said we're going to have to take a measured approach. This has come up several times. I really don't understand this, but we've had people ask that if somebody's on remote learning, can they still participate on an athletic team? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But if that's the case, the answer to that is yes. We've been told from multiple people. Jonathan and I think we mentioned it. Wayne Young has weighed in on it just the other day. Did you see his opinion, Jonathan, on this?
I did see his opinion, yes.
Yeah, and it's not worth the fight. He said he could argue both sides, but he said that it's a 50-50 shot you're gonna lose. So that's pretty much the thing. I don't understand. I can tell you this, there'll be a lot less contact with your child coming to school in person than they will on the football field. Because the moment you line up in front of a defensive lineman and you're an offensive lineman and you line up 2 foot away from them and you fire off the ball, and next thing you know, you got spit and snot slinging. And I'm telling you, if you played the sport, you know what it is. You can't social distance football. So if you think your child's safe playing football but not safe coming to school, I don't think that computes. You know better than that. You just don't want to do the right thing. That's me, and I'll take all the heat for that. I made the statement, I'll stand by it. There's no way, in my opinion, that a child plays sports and not goes to school. But if that's what you want to do, we can't stop you. But it makes no sense to me. Last thing, I want to talk about our employees. I don't know any other way to be plain. Let's talk about our employees.
It's getting late, Mr.
I know,
Saban.
we got to wrap up. Our employees, I tell you, if I was out of here by 9 tonight, I'd be doing good. I'll stay here to 10 if we need to.
By yourself.
Yeah, if we need to. Jeremy keeps the TV running, we'll just keep going. Jeremy has to stay with me no matter, you all can go, but he has to stay. There's no action on this. But in all seriousness, we're going to be meeting with our employees, our supervisor meeting with our employees. We need to take care of employees in-house. We don't need to be airing those things out here in open board meetings. If our employees have concerns, they just need to bring them to us. Nobody's going to. We're going to do everything we can to make concessions for our employees. Now, there's some things we can't do. We can't do things for our employees that we wouldn't do for somebody else. You know, we've got situations out there. I know we've got some employees that's struggling with child care. When I had a son and daughter 16 months apart, at that time, we struggled with child care when we were teaching. It's just part of life. But we can't provide or let our employees have privileges that we can't let other people have. You're opening yourself up for the biggest public relations nightmare in the world. And I know there's some people concerned about the fact that, of child care. I know that's a big concern. That's why within a couple of weeks, if we can get everybody in school, we're going to get everybody in school. We'll see by the numbers. The numbers will dictate that. So we're asking you to be patient with us for just a little while to make this work. But we can't let employees' kids come 4 days a week and tell somebody else they can only come 2 because there's child care issues. And right now, everybody's got child care issues. Kids are at home 5 days a week. They got child care. I mean, it should be easier to find child care 3 days a week than it is 5. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. My kids are 30. I don't have to deal with that. I may not know what I'm talking about. If I don't, just forgive me. I don't know. But the bottom line is we're going to work with our employees' concerns, and I'm going to work from the bottom to top. So we'll be listening to employees, and they're going to be employee representatives meeting in their specific schools. We're going to provide. Listen, you don't want some of this federal leave, COVID leave, because the bottom line on some of the federal COVID leave, we're only required to pay you 2/3 of your pay. Our employees are going to get 100% of their check if at all possible, but you got to work. You got to work. You can't be paid for not working. But we're going to provide the safety factors that we need to provide to work. In my opinion, school employees are essential workers, just like nurses and doctors and orderlies and nurse aides and everybody working at Markham Wallace. They're essential workers. They need to be there to take care of the sick. Our goal and our job is we committed when we were hired in the school system to take care of kids. That's our goal. That's what we were hired for. That's what we said we were going to do. And I know our employees are going to step up to the plate. There's not a bunch of employees out there that are saying that, that are scared half to death. And I'm telling you right now, any employee listening, don't be afraid to voice a concern. We'll figure out a way to fix it. And if an employee has to quarantine, why can't they provide help for remote learners? Somebody else steps in the classroom. We'll figure it out. We're going to take care of our employees. We're not going to put them in bad shape. But the only leave policies are the policies that you have in board. You can take a leave without pay anytime you want to. But you can't take a leave and get paid. You can, and the funny thing about federal law, I'll tell you right now, in the COVID legislation, it says if you get sick, if you get COVID, if I get COVID, I have to use sick days. I don't get leave days. I have to use sick day. That's in the federal law. So that's why I'm saying the federal law didn't do a whole lot to help employees. But we're going to try to help employees. We're going to have flex work schedules. We'll make it work. If our instructional assistants have to work 8 hours on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, they'll only have to work 4 hours on Wednesday morning. We're not going to ask them to work overtime or work a bunch of hours. They have to work 37.5 hours a week. We'll fix it. We'll make it work for you. And also, you'll have a say in what's going on. Is there going to be additional help in school? Yes. We're putting aside CARES money. If we need to hire an extra instructional assistant, we'll hire them. If we have to hire a custodian to come in on Saturdays to clean, we'll hire them. We're going to provide the safest environment that we can. And then the last question, it really had something to do with substitutes. And Jeremy's got 2 more, and we'll see what those are. But they wanted to know why we didn't have a call-in system for substitutes. And a lot of smaller school districts don't. You know, in Fayette County, they can call an automatic line, they can get their own sub and all that. Here's my opinion about those. In my former school district where I was a principal, I had to call the subs myself. A teacher had to call me to get a sub. Now you tell me a teacher ain't gonna call the principal to get a sub unless they need one. And if you can call an automated line or go on the computer and say, I need a sub, it's easier to miss. Right now, we're a small district. Peggy Bryant does a fantastic job. If I told Peggy she didn't have to come in at 7 o'clock, she'd probably get mad at me. She likes coming in at 5 o'clock. You know, she likes being here. She likes taking care of that. She likes helping our employees do that. There's no need for us to make a change. Jeremy, what was the other 2?
On Facebook, we had someone said, how is students' vocational classes in Richmond going to work?
Right now, we are still working with Beth Engel, the principal there at Madison Career Tech. But if those kids still want to go, if they want to be, transported, we'll transport them. They'll have to wear a mask on the bus. We have, through Edgenuity, there is opportunities for students to do career and technical classes online, correct, Ms. Isaacs? Some, but not all. So there will be some opportunities remotely for career tech, but as far as I know right now, Madison Career Tech Center is still an option for kids that want to go, and as long as you social distance and do what you're supposed to do, you should be fine.
This is a sports-related question. When sports are in season, how will the students be tested? Weekly, bi-weekly, especially when interacting with students from other counties?
There is no guidelines in the state of Kentucky for testing students for COVID-19. None. And probably, I don't want to speak out of turn here, and Donna could correct me, there is not the resources for us to test student athletes like they're doing at the University of Kentucky or like they're doing with the NBA and those types of things. I do not think there's resources available to do that. So it would be something that probably a student would have to show symptoms before they're probably going to receive a test unless they can go to some free COVID testing center to do that. Would that be correct?
That's what we have right now. I have all of the kits to test the staff when they start back, but I don't have enough to test every student. But certainly if there's a family or a group of children that needed to be tested, I know Dr. Ong has been testing a lot of the children and young teenagers, but certainly you could always see your primary care provider. There's options for that. But as far as for us to go back to school and have those test kits, I don't have all of those available right now.
And they're not available to the best of my knowledge, right?
Not that I'm aware of. I can ask at the health department tomorrow and see if Mandy or Candy have any information on that, but I don't have any further on that right now.
And I think the one thing that a COVID test does tell you, if I test today, it tells me that I do not have COVID today. But I could have it next week. Or I could have had it 5 weeks ago. So there's no provisions right now, Jeremy, for that.
There's an antibody test that's available, questionable accuracy, but that is done through your local provider, and it is a blood draw. And you have that result within usually a few hours.
Is that it? That's all the questions? Listen, Jeremy, if you don't care, let's leave that open. And any parent that's out there that still has a question, can we erase those responses and then, or let's not erase them, let's copy those responses and then open a new link for any questions for parents that they might want to submit online? I only ask, please don't submit the ugly stuff. We did have to get rid of a couple of them. And, we just can't share those online and do that type of thing. We're trying our best to reach out and do what's best for everybody here. This is a tough time, tough situation. I know this board, they're going to do what it takes to provide a safe environment. I'm going to do what it takes. They expect me to do what it takes. If I don't, I'm going to hear from them. And so I understand that, and I accept that responsibility, and our staff accepts that responsibility. We had about 15 today. It was a good 3.5-hour meeting with good discussion on how we help kids, how we help parents. We're going to come with the servant attitude. We're your servant. How can we help you? How can we make this the best school year we can under the worst possible circumstances ever, probably since the Spanish flu in 2018, 2019, or 1919 and 1918 in that time period.
You wasn't a history teacher, was you?
No, I got the 20 in there. Get that out of it. That's it for public comment. That's it for everybody. If everybody's...
Do we have anything from the board members? I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Jonathan,
You're adjourned.
thank you, man.
Thank you all very much.
Thanks,
We
John.
appreciate you for being here with us.